pair, and plenty of them in the side, if I remember rightly, from the game down at Chesterfield. So 2 without loss, Derbyshire. There's a good crowd in as well, actually, more than I thought perhaps would turn out, given the the respective plights of the 2 sides. But the Emerald Stand end, for example, is predominantly full. Opposite our commentary position here in the pavilion end of the ground, there's a decent number in the Western Terrace, and more in this northeast stand down to our left. So you just said there's going to be what, 7,000 I would have thought as a guesstimate at least, as this next best delivery has worked round to Tim Bresnan, who's just inside the circle at short fine leg. Don Bess, of course, bowling his off spin. Played a couple of tests last season for England and is continuing on a second loan spell here with Yorkshire. This next delivery is a good length ball, worked up to long on, and Rees in for another single there. 2 to him, 3 without loss, Derbyshire, 5 balls gone.
Yeah, Storge, it's going to be important to get out the over well here. He's bowled incredibly well so far, and let's see if we can finish off this over.
And he comes in around the wicket, and this one is lofted high above Tom Kohler-Cadmo's, just inside the circle at mid-off, and it's bounced just the once and disappeared over the rope at the Emerald Stand end of the ground. So first boundary of the day, and quite a nice controlled 7 without loss from a Derbyshire point of view after 1 over.
Yeah, for sure, and Don Bess will be just slightly frustrated there, because obviously bowled really well the first 5 balls and wanted to get out the over in positive fashion, but Godliman there just played a lovely shot, lofted drive, over mid-off, 3 or 4 bounces for 4 runs. Really nice shot, actually. Just caressed it to the boundary. Let's see how the left-handed or left-arm David Willey does from the pavilion end, as he's just marking out his run-up.
Yeah, David Willey looks like he's had a bit of a haircut, doesn't it, as well? Something slightly different about the Barnet. Still got a bit of growth in it, but I think it's yeah, it's been lopped off a little bit round the back. A bit of a short back and sides.
Slightly more streamlined for today's game.
So he's got those 2 white sleeves on, which are not part of his. It's not like a full undershirt, is it? Because you can see a bit of arm between the top of them and the bottom of his short-sleeved Yorkshire shirt, and he skips in for this first ball, left arm over the wicket to Rees. Good delivery, beats him outside off stump. No run. The 2 men outside the circle in this case are deposited at deep backward square leg, out on the boundary edge on the east side of the ground, and there's also a man down at 3rd man. Everybody else inside the circle, Yorkshire having ringed it, and they're just about on the edge of the circle, with the exception of Adam Lyth, who's in a short extra cover, probably 10 metres or so inside the circle, as Willey comes in again from the pavilion end. And top of the bounce, this is turned out to Bess, who is at point and does the fielding. No run. 2 umpires today, by the way, Ben Debenham and Ian Gould. Ben Debenham, just looking at the shape of the man at the far end, looks to be the umpire at this end.
I would say so, yes, looking at it from this angle.
Ian Gould short, and his waistline's seen better days, I think we'd probably have to say.
Looks very similar to mine at the moment.
Yeah, mine. Here's David Willey, lofted this time through mid-wicket, and it's going to be the first maximum of the day. Goes to Lewis Rees, and it was just there in the slot, wasn't it, from David Willey, and has been dispatched.
Yeah, he's just slightly over pitched there, David Willey, which is a shame. First 2 balls, nice balls with a little bit of shape on them, but this one is just over pitched, and Rees has just, well, actually given himself a really good arc, lifted the ball nicely over the infield for 6 runs.
So Derbyshire 13 without loss halfway through the second, as Willey comes in again. This is just short of a length and run down to 3rd man, where Leaning appears to be the man doing the fielding, and get through for a comfortable single. In fact, Bresnan, I should say. Sorry, Jack. He's in the shadows down at the far end of the ground.
That's certainly a better length, I think, there from David Willey. He's hit the splice of the bat, and I think that's more the length to ball on this pitch today.
Yeah, Just using the pace of the ball to run it down there to third man. Here's David Willey in again. That's a full length ball this time and blocked solidly by Billy Godalming. Derbyshire skip, who's out there not out on 5. So 7 off the over so far. Don Betty's opening over went for the same amount. And just 1 left here for David Willey. So not a bad over, but still the 1 ball to come. And we know what happened off the last ball of Don Betty's first over. So Willey turns. In he comes then. Passes umpire Debenham. It's leg side-ish and flicked just off the front of the pad. Is it a flick or was it a pad? Let's just check on the umpire. And he says it was off the pad. They've got through for 1. So it's a leg bye to conclude the second over of the day. And it means that Derbyshire are 15 without loss.
Yeah, I mean, you would say majority of both these first overs from Bess and then from Willey have been decent overs. It's just the 1 ball that's gone for the boundary in each of those overs. And that's a shame, but it's actually really important that Yorkshire, as we know, do minimise the boundaries as much as possible. But it is a challenge in that first 6 with the power play, because clearly the Derbyshire Falcons batters will look to make as much of a positive impact as they possibly can in those first 6 of the power play. We know the power play is important. We know a large percentage of teams that win the 6 over power play often go on to win the game. I think it's important that Yorkshire see if they can wrestle this power play away from Derbyshire.
So Kesh Maharaj into the attack at the Emerald stand end. First time we've seen him in action in T20 cricket for Yorkshire. And his first delivery is flicked out into the leg side by Godalming into a good area from his perspective, because they've come back for 2. Not a bad return throw from Jordan Thompson. If it had been a direct hit, that could have been close at the bowler's end of the ground. But a dive in from Rees saves his bacon. 17 without loss then. Maharaj has played 87 T20 matches. He's taken 68 wickets, a best of 3 for 7. Not going to get a wicket off this ball though, but it's not a bad delivery. Godalming gets a thickish inside contact down to long on, and they pick up a single. So 8 to him, 9 to Rees, and 18 without loss inside the third over.
Yeah, Maharaj has, if we look at his economy rate, 6.81. There's not too many T20 bowlers actually coming lower than 7.
Here he is again, and this is good length ball. And just pushed with respect down to long on. They'll pick up another single. So 3 balls in. He's gone for 4. 19 without loss. Sun continues to shine. Just a little bit of a shadow, 10-15 metres or so, cast by the Emerald stand at the far end of the ground. Rest of it bathed in sunshine as his next delivery again is full and roundabout off stump and pushed out into the offside for a single. So 20 without loss. I
was talking to Johnny Tattersall in the week about how Maharaj actually bowls, and he said we bowls with variation. And the crowd catch there as his next delivery is flicked aerially but off the deck by Rees, straight back to the bowler. Last ball of this first Maharaj over is pushed into a gap in the offside. Good piece of batting to split the gap between the 2 men. And in the end, they get through for a single. So Godalming on to 9, Rees on to 11, 3 gone, 21 without loss. Yeah, Johnny Tattersall was saying that he bowled beautifully in the championship game against Somerset earlier on the season, and often came round the wicket, came over the wicket, varied his flight, varied his pace, and used the crease. So I'm interested how he'll do that today in the T20 format of the game and how effective he's going to be. But he's started pretty well there, Dodgy, hasn't he? Yeah, good control from Maharaj, and captains can certainly work with 6 and over from their bowlers. So the first over so far without a boundary in it. David Willey is going to continue at this pavilion end. So Rees 11, Godalming 9. The partnership, along with the score, is worth 21 so far without loss.
Still third man and deep backward square leg are the two men outside the circle. Everybody else converges on the batsman as he waits here. He's got under this one. This is going to be a comfortable catch for Tom Kohler-Cadmore. And so the end of the first Derbyshire wicket. 21 for 1 and Rees gone for 11. Caught Kohler-Cadmore, bowled Willie.
Yeah, Willie's just dropped that one in short at a decent pace, and Rees has not quite got onto that. The ball actually looked as though it did him for pace slightly. It just rushed onto him, and he felt that ball quite high on the bat near the splice and spooned it up to eagerly waiting Tom Kohler-Cadmore at mid-on, just on the edge of the circle there. It's a good wicket for Yorkshire, and it just stops Derbyshire in their tracks in terms of when they're looking to accelerate.
So just confirmation, Louise Rees caught Kohler-Cadmore, bowled Willie for 11, and Wayne Madsen makes his way out to the middle. Dangerous player on a very regular basis for Derbyshire. So Willie 1 for 7 deliveries so far, and it's been a pretty good start from a Yorkshire point of view. Without getting too carried away just yet, they won the toss of course and decided to field first. Their record here at Headingley when batting first is exceptional. So they've chosen to have the first go at the opposition today. So Godalman on strike because the batsman crossed. Madsen 77 on his back, will have to wait. Willie was about to bowl then, but has turned to Kesh Maharaj. He was alongside him at mid-off and just had a word, and that sees a change in the field. Adam Lyth goes in at first slip here, comes out of that short extra cover position. So Willie comes in, pavilion end, left arm over, and this has seen Godalman charge him and then chips it over the top of both Tattersall and Lyth. A couple of bounces into the Emerald stand, picks up a boundary.
Yeah, he's unlucky there, Willie, isn't he? Because obviously the move from Lyth from extra cover to slip, I think, is a really positive move, and he almost came off there, Doige. Godalman just had enough on that just to get it over the slip, and Johnny Tattersall at wicket keeping.
Get in touch with us at Jonathan Doige or at Inside Leader 1, the respective Twitter handles, or BBC West Yorkshire Sport at gmail.com. Thoughts on this one? Yorkshire Vikings taking on the Derbyshire Falcons in the Vitality T20 Blast. We'll try and keep you up to date with what's going on elsewhere today as well, because there's a full programme of fixtures. Worcester Northants, I can tell you, in this North group is a delayed start. They're inspecting around about now. As Willie comes in again to Godalman, not out 13, throws this one wide-ish off stump, and he's, well, that's a bit disappointing. It's being signalled a wide by Ben Debenham at this pavilion end, but Willie not happy with it, and you can understand why, because the batsman charged him but also made room outside leg stump, so there was no way he was going to reach that. Can't have been much more than about a foot outside off stump. Yeah,
I agree. I mean, it's difficult. We run a slight angle here, but it did look a harsh call, that, didn't it? Especially when he created enough room for himself.
Yeah, tough call. He's brought Adam Lyth out after a two-ball experiment at first slip. He's back in at extra cover. And a slightly miffed David Willey is in. And this time, stepping across to the offside, Godalman has whipped this one away, and it's gone a long way over the square leg boundary into the east stand for a maximum.
Yeah, David Willey's just gone a little full and a little straight there. I mean, it's a fair shot from Godalman. He's gone down on one knee and caressed the ball. Well, in fact, he's hit the ball very hard into the east stand here at the Emerald Stadium, Headingley. That's a fine contact. Willie just looking a little bit frustrated.
Birmingham Bears 79 for 1, halfway through their 20 overs against the Lancs Lightning at the moment, as Willie is into that open stance. Godalman this time gets a shortish ball roundabout off stump and just drops the bat on it, runs it down to Bresnan at third man and picks up a single. 33 for 1. Gloucester 82 for 3 in the South group, taking on Middlesex. That's just past the halfway stage. Glamorgan 66 for 4, 67 for 4. After 11.4, they're playing Surrey. Match abandoned. Durham and Notts, as I alluded to earlier, match abandoned without a ball being bowled. So right-hander out there in the form of Wayne Madsen. He takes guard and waits for Davy Williams coming round the wicket to him now. Good delivery, gets a thickish inside edge. Madsen onto his pads, beaten this time by the bowler.
Yeah, that's a good length. He's coming round the wicket, he's looked to tuck him up, and he's hitting probably just above the knee roll there. So that's a good delivery, and as I say, that's a good length to bowl. Yorkshire Vikings will certainly want this partnership broken almost as it starts, because we know Madsen's lots of experience. He's played 106 games, and as you said, George, he's been a successful and consistent performer for Derbyshire. So they'll want to break this partnership as quick as possible.
Willie in again, short ball, Madsen pulls. There's Jordan Thompson out there sweeping on the square leg boundary, and so they'll keep him to 1. It's the end of over number 4 then. Godalming 20, Madsen has 1, 34 for 1.
I've seen quite a lot of Wayne Madsen over the years, and he's what I would describe, there's 2 types of players for me. There's character players and there's situation players. And Madsen's an exceptional situation player, so I'd expect him to bat long today if he gets the opportunity and take this innings and his innings as deep as he possibly can. He's a very good player, so as I say, Yorkshire will want to see the back of these 2 performers, the skillful Godalming and striking ball striker Godalming, and also Madsen here today.
So Madsen takes guard and prepares to face Maharaj, who's going to continue from the Emerald stand end of the ground. Wayne Madsen, born in Durban. He's played 107 T20 matches, I should say, 104 knocks. Gets a single here up to Kohler Cadmore, first ball of the over. He's got a highest in T20 cricket, Wayne Madsen, of 86 not out, and averages a very healthy 28.73 with a strike rate of 130 plus. 16 50s, so certainly a force to be reckoned with from a Derbyshire point of view. He's on to 2. Godalming back on strike, however. 1 ball into this 5th over. Field is adjusted. Godalming's got the man out at deep mid-wicket and a long on, and he charges and hits this one over long off. Kohler Cadmore's giving chase, but there's absolutely no chance he's going to catch that, because it's about half a dozen rows back into the stand for a maximum, and an early one in this over.
Early one, yeah, he's shown his intent and gone after him early on, hasn't he? But what a fantastic shot that is. He's been able to get inside the ball and hit that one, well, geez, against the spin over mid-off. Well bowled.
Next ball pushed back up to Maharaj. So 41 for 1. Godalming already on to 26. Halfway through the 5th. Maharaj back over the wicket as Godalming pushes this one up to Kohler Cadmore. Just loses his footing as he was bending down to pick it up. And understandable with all the rain we've had around. A little bit on the soft side out there in the outfield. They got through for the 1, so 42 for 1. John has emailed in. Come to your email in a moment, John. As Maharaj brings both men, straight men, inside the circle and puts 2 back on the leg side for this next delivery to Madsen. Can't deal with it. So not a bad comeback so far from Maharaj. He's gone for 14 from 11 deliveries, so 1 left in the over. He brings up his man from the mid-wicket boundary and now sends back Kohler Cadmore to long on, and he comes in, the South African. He's whipped round back at a square. Good stroke, really good placement from Wayne Madsen, and so 2 boundaries off the over, a 6 and a 4, and just a little bit of a tinge of disappointment from a Yorkshire perspective there. Maharaj has gone for 18 in his 2 now, 46 for 1 Derbyshire after 5.
Yeah, can't pronounce his name there. Maharaj has just tried to tuck Madsen up there, but he's just over-pitched and he's bowled it on the full, hasn't he? He's just been able to sweep that backward a square for 4 runs. He'll be disappointed with that, because the 4 balls in the middle he bowled really well. It's just at the start of the over, the end of the over, where he went for the 2 boundaries, 6 early on and then 4 to finish the over.
Repeat after me. Ma.
I'll give it a go. Ma.
Ha.
Ha.
Raj.
Raj. Thank you, Doige. It's difficult with my Barnsley dialect, you see.
Aye. Maharaj, coming in from pavilion end. It's Duan Olivier who's taking the ball now at the pavilion end, in fact, and he's just pushed deep into the leg side where Jack Leaning is into field. That was a single to Godalman, who's now on to 28. 47 for 1. So the scores from per over so far have gone 7, 8, 6, and then 13 and 12. So a little bit of getting in of eyes in the first 3 overs, if you like, and then a couple of double-figure overs, and they'll be looking doubtless to try and take full toll on anything loose that Duan Olivier throws up. In he comes then, shirt flapping in the Headingley breeze. Sun has gone in, and he thrown up here, and he has been dispatched straight back over his head. Lovely shot from Wayne Madsen, who's into double figures with that boundary 4, and he moves on to 10. And Derbyshire have got the 50 up, 51 for 1 after 5.2.
And that's what I mean by Madsen is an experienced performer, he's a situational player, so anything that's just slightly off, he will pounce on, which he's just done there.
Here's Olivier again, wide of off stump, and this time pushed to Leaning at cover, no run. John, by the way, afternoon to you, he says, why have Yorkshire decided to field first? Is there predicted inclement weather at Headingley this afternoon? If not, playing on a used pitch, and Yorkshire's poor record at run chases would seem to be a strange decision not to bat first. 5 defeats on the trot to the nemesis, brackets poor considering Derbyshire never qualify. However, Kent had beaten Somerset 11 times on the trot until last night. Here's a shortish ball from Olivier, worked from outside off stump by Madsen in front of square on the leg side. Lithe fielding, and they didn't get a single. Great batting by Tom Banton and Tom Abel, he says. Yeah, I didn't see the game, I've got to say, but I kept seeing the messages coming up.
Well, I'm just looking at this, and I think Olivier's going to have to go slightly shorter and hard into the pitch, and look to hit the splicer Madsen.
Here's Olivier, dispatched over his head again. He followed the batsman who stepped away to leg, so that was a good piece of bowling, but he's still conceded 4 runs straight back over his head. It wasn't what you'd call a fluent Madsen stroke, took a bit of time to get to the boundary, but the 2 Yorkshire chasers couldn't quite reel it back in. So 14 to Madsen already, 55 for 1.
Madsen's just on the move there, isn't he, trying to make it difficult for the bowler, and it was, as you say, it wasn't one of his most beautiful shots, but enough power just to get it down the ground and get it over the boundary for 4 runs.
Open stance Madsen, and Olivier. This looks a little bit quicker, but maybe because it's short of a length and flies through to the gloves of Tattersall. So he went for 9 off the over in the end. Again, another couple of boundaries. You wouldn't call it as loose an over as Duan can sometimes bowl. Still gone for 9 runs.
Yeah, it's still gone for 9 runs, and it's quite an important phase of the play here. And I'm just looking at the experienced Tim Bresnan and just wondering, Doige, what your thoughts are on how Yorkshire might use Brezzy this afternoon from a bowling perspective. He's lots of experience. We know there's a number of spin bowlers in the team. I just wonder what the captain's thoughts might be.
I really wouldn't want to second guess that, because he's been around for a game or 2 and barely been used so far. So I'm not sure what the thinking is there. I don't know if it's a case of he's in the side just in case somebody else doesn't come off and he's a bit of backup, or if they're going to try and get a couple of overs out of him, or if they've got plans to use him for a full 4. I suppose also part of that depends on him when he gets the ball thrown to him. You know, how will he perform? But he hasn't got it yet. The power play is done at 55 for 1. I reckon Yorkshire won't be too disappointed with that. But the way that Derbyshire started, you know, the way that teams have played it, you're looking again at one of those scores in the 170 sort of mark, aren't you, at this stage? Could be a bit either side, depending on how they bat or how Yorkshire bowl. It's Jordan Thompson charged with that responsibility now. Comes up with a slower ball first up to Godalman, who works it to leg. No run.
It's a great start from Thompson, isn't it? We know the young player come all the way through the Yorkshire ranks, through the academy, second team, and now playing first team. But to bowl, first ball to the informed Godalman, slower ball around the wickets, good bowling.
This time, though, he's slanted down the leg side. He's got a little tickle on that as Godalman, and it's straight through to Tattersall. And Billy Godalman, I should say, has gone. Caught behind by Johnny Tattersall off the second ball of Jordan Thompson's spell. 55 for 1. And Godalming, big wicket for Yorkshire, 55 for 2 now. He's gone for 28.
That's a huge wicket, because we know how dangerous Godalming can be. Obviously, earlier on this season, he played a captain's in and played fantastically well for Derbyshire to beat us down at Chesterfield. But Thompson will feel slightly lucky at that, because obviously straight down the leg side. But great work by Johnny Tattersall, the wicket-keeper. Great footwork and a nice little dive down the leg side for him. He'll be happy with that.
Yeah, excellent bit of keeping from Johnny Tatt. And the new batsman in then, with Godalming gone, is Lewis Deploy. Rain is falling here at Headingley. The sun is out, but there's also rain blowing in from a sort of westerly, southwesterly direction from away to our right. So they're going to continue playing for the time being. And Deploy, the new man then, dangerous player Lewis Deploy. Saw him to good effect here in the 50-over comp earlier in the season. In answer to John's question, by the way, about why Yorkshire decided to field first, probably get a bit of a word on that from Tom Kohler-Cavmore afterwards. No inclement weather of any note here at Headingley this afternoon, as that first ball to Deploy is turned to Bresnan at a short straight mid-wicket, and there's no run. No major rain predicted this afternoon, which is perhaps why they're continuing during that little shower. It looks to have stopped already. It looked as though it was just going to be mainly set for cloud cover, and then later on in the afternoon maybe a bit of sunshine breaking through. We've had that early. So here's Thompson again, fourth ball of his over. He's gone for just the one so far, and that will remain the case, as this next ball is a good one, wide of off stump and blocked. Well, dropped into the offside really by Deploy, who thought about a single for a moment, but that wasn't entertained by Madsen.
Two great deliveries, didn't it, to a new incoming batter. First two deliveries, roundabout, knee roll height, quite full, hard into the pitch, not allowing Deploy to freeze hands at all.
Thompson round the wicket, this time dropped into the leg side by Deploy, and it's going to come back for two. A good piece of running between the wickets. They'd noticed that Yorkshire's fielder in that general direction, David Willey, was right back on the boundary edge, nobody else within QE, and he had to run further than the batsman did. So good work between the pair of them. Deploy gets off the mark with a 2, and it's 57 for 2. One ball left in the 7th. Here's Thompson in, and that's wide of off stump and just dropped down to third man, where Jack Shutt does the fielding. So they get a single off it. Good first over from Jordan Thompson. 1 over, no maidens, 1 for 3. Deploy is 3, Madsen 14, Derbyshire 58 for 2 off 7.
As overs go in T20 cricket from a seam bowler's perspective, Jordan Thompson, the young and fairly inexperienced Jordan Thompson, has just bowled an outstanding over in the context of the game. He's got the new batter in, Deploy there, and he's not giving him any room at all to free his arms. He's bowled hard into the pitch. He's bowled a really, really good length. It's an exceptional over.
So we're going to have a change of bowling at the pavilion end, and it's going to be Jack Shutt into the attack for the Vikings. And of course, 2 wickets in his first match a couple of weeks ago against the Lancashire Lightning here. In he comes, and this is wide of off stump, just short of a length. Great piece of fielding there at backward point by Tim Bresnan. The agile Tim Bresnan. They got through for a single, but that was boundary bound, so saved a 3 there. Good effort, Brezzy. 59 for 2. Deploy on to 4. The partnership is worth the same. Madsen not out 14 on strike. This is round about leg stump and pulled backward of square. Jordan Thompson round to field, and they'll get through for 1 more. So probably one of those, at this moment in time, positives for both sides. Derbyshire have not had a disastrous start, 60 for 2. Yorkshire neither.
It's probably even Steven, isn't it, when you look at it? Both teams would be relatively happy with where they're at this stage of the game.
Just a change in the field as the man who was back at a point. Jordan Thompson's brought round to cover on the boundary edge, but Shutt gets this one wrong right in the slot, and that has been smashed into the second tier of the East Stand. That's a huge hit from Lias Deploy, and it is very, very easily a maximum, and probably just about the biggest hit of the day so far. He's into double figures on 10, 66 for 2 Derbyshire.
Yeah, it's very rare in the games, the 2 games that Shutt's played so far, that we've seen that type of deliveries. Just drop that short, and actually the ball then did get what it deserved. That's a great contact from Deploy. He's hit that a long way back into the East Stand.
So here's Shutt, and this time he goes the other way, off stump, wide of it, and he's cut out just in front of square on the offside. Single to Deploy, takes him on to 11, 67 for 2. Mark Taylor's emailed in. Good afternoon to you, Mark. Down in Thetford in Norfolk. Come to your point in a mo, because Shutt is skipping in again. This time he's scooped over Johnny Tattersal's head, and that will be 4. Inventive play from Wayne Madsen. Good stroke, legitimate stroke these days, of course, in the modern world of T20 cricket, and it brings him a boundary. He's on to 19, 71 for 2.
Yeah, premeditated shot there from Madsen, but it's a great shot. Nice scoop over Tattersall, the wicketkeeper, for 4 runs. He's able to do that because Shutt's just fired that ball in, and I think Madsen was just sensing he was going to look to fire one in, and he's timed that perfectly, got into a really good position. Great execution.
Here's Shutt again, round the wicket, and pulled through mid-wicket. Jordan Thompson's round to do the fielding, does well there, made good ground. He's not going to prevent the 2, but he does at least prevent the 4. End of Jack Shutt's first over. He's gone for 15 there. 73 for 2. Madsen 21, Deploy 11, and 8 overs have been bowled.
Yeah, the batting pair, the Falcons batting pair of Deploy and Madsen is a really nice fit. You've got Madsen that works the ball around and plays to his strengths, of course, and Deploy that's a very, very good ball striker. Hits the ball a long, long way, and of course right-hand, left-hand combination, so it makes it very difficult for the bowlers to hit the lines and lengths consistently.
And a shame for from a Yorkshire point of view, because after that tremendous over from Jordan Thompson, who incidentally retains the ball at the Emerald Stand end, he went for just 3 in his first over. 15 off the next kind of counters that good work that had been done.
Yeah, it does.
So here's Thompson in round the wicket from the Emerald Stand end. It's a short of a length delivery, and Deploy, who was advancing down the wicket, has to hit it top of the bounce down to long on for a single. He's on to 12, 74 for 2. So the runs per over count, just to recap now, 7 in the first over, 8, then 6, okay, from a Yorkshire point of view, then 13 and 12, then 9 at the last over of the power play, before a 3 from Jordan Thompson, and then that 15, the biggest over of the lot. So the smallest number of runs followed by the biggest number of runs in the match so far in consecutive overs. Here's Jordan Thompson again over the wicket, this time to Madsen, who drives to the edge of the circle where it's fielded and there's no run. Maharaj, the man getting down to do that. He's of course here for the next couple of red ball games, and in fact this time next week we'll be sitting at hopefully sunny Scarborough for the visit of Nottinghamshire in Championship cricket, as Jordan Thompson's in again. That's wide of off stump, good delivery, Yorker length, beats Deploy, who tried to get something on it down to third man. So 8 balls bowled so far by Jordan Thompson. He's taken 1 wicket and gone for just the 5.
Yeah, he's made a great start to this game, hasn't he? He's becoming quite quickly a very important T20 player for Yorkshire.
And he comes again. This time he goes full once more, and with use of feet, Deploy, Madsen I should say, takes that on the half volley. Flat bats it out into the covers, picks up a single.
What I like about Jordan Thompson, he just always looks clear on what his plans are. You can see from his field placings that he's working with through, obviously, Cola Cadmore. He's pretty consistent with that. He's consistent with his execution of his skills. I'm talking there, the ball that's hard into length, the ball that's full, but also his variations. He's very consistent. He's a good young performer.
Here he is again, switching to round the wicket. Slower ball this time, and that's driven back to him, and he's annoyed with himself because he got both hands on it, but it ends up going through and up to long off, and he concedes a single. That was to Deploy. who's now a dozen. It's about 13 a Baker's dozen. Madsen on 22. Derbyshire 76 for 2. And 1 left in the 9th. Jordan Thompson. Don't want to speak too soon. He's got 1 ball left in the over, but it's been pretty good so far. But there you go. He's got that one wrong. He tried the Yorker. It was a low full toss. And Wayne Madsen has just helped it on its way straight into the east stand boundary, a flat 6. So double the run count of Jordan Thompson's end of his second over. Went from 6 off 11 balls to 12 off 12. 82 for 2 after 9.
Yeah, and it's just that last ball of the over again, isn't it, that Yorkshire do have this challenge with. I mean, he's overpitched that. Jordan Thompson's gone for the Yorker, which I think is the right option at this stage. It's good decision making. It's just his execution, and of course the experienced performer Madsen has pounced on that and put the ball into the east stand.
Mark says Yorkshire need to get Godalman out quickly. Well, of course they have done. Haven't checked his stats, but I remember his name being mentioned a lot each time we play them. He says, yeah, it's one of those, some players have clubs, don't they, teams who they seem to do well against regularly, irrespective of who's playing in that opposing side. First ball of this Olivier over, meanwhile, is driven through the covers, and Thompson's round to field, so Deploy picks up another single. 83 for 2.
I was talking to Richard Dams just a few days ago about Thompson, and he said he can strike the ball, he can rotate the strike, he's an exceptional baller in situations, and he said he's a real athlete in the field, and we saw him cover quite a lot of ground to stop Derbyshire from getting 2 runs there. He was quick to the ball, very athletic, very speedy, and accurate throw into the stumps.
Here's Olivier again to Madsen, who tries to just nip this one either over the top of Tadasel or down towards third man, but misses. Charles Kitching has tweeted us, afternoon to you, out there in Spain. He says, shame about the Diamonds. It just seems to matter who they select. It just seemed to matter who they select. Seems to be the same old result every year. I'm not entirely sure what Charles is on about there. But here's Olivier, and the batsman Madsen has got right underneath this one, and a chance down at third man. The ball must have been swirling around in the wind, and Jack Shutt got himself right underneath it. But in the end, well, hard to tell whether he got a hand to it before it hit the ground or not, or whether it actually dropped short of him. But he had loads of time to get underneath that, didn't he? And that's got to go down as a missed opportunity from a Yorkshire point of view.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the ball's gone really high and it must have been swirling around. But that's an opportunity missed, really, you know, to get the dangerous Madsen out.
Here's Olivier again, and this time Madsen off the hip works it in front of square, and they pick up another single. Jordan Thompson doing the fielding, 85 for 2.
Yeah, just looking at the game situation, and we're almost at the midway stage, and Derbyshire have got 85. They'll be looking to push 180, and if these two bat for long periods of time, 190. Yorkshire obviously will want him to get below 170, so it's going to be a really interesting tussle from here on in.
Here's Olivier to the left-handed Deploy, who smashes this one to Lythe inside the circle at mid-off. Had to get the hurry up on there, did the batsman, because Lythe had the ball in his hand and had a shy at the stumps, but missed vitally, and so the umpire wasn't called upon to make an adjudication. Deploy 15, Madsen 30, 86 for 2, 1 left before we are at the halfway stage of the knock. So here's Olivier again, and this one flicked backward a square leg side. Thompson getting through plenty of work today with the ball and in the field. He's round and keeps them to a single. So that is halfway in this Derbyshire Falcons innings. Yorkshire, of course, won the toss, asked them to bat first, and they have responded by going 87 for 2 at the halfway stage. The wickets to have fallen. Lewis Rees caught Tom Kohler-Cadmore at mid-on off David Willey for 11, and Billy Godalman, danger man, of course, having got 70 down at Queen's Park in the Derbyshire win in the first game of this competition. Well, he was caught down the leg side off the bowling of Jordan Thompson by Johnny Tattersall for 2.
Yeah, Yorkshire will be really keen here to break this partnership. It's forming nicely from a Falcons perspective. They'll be happy with where they're at. They've got a very good foundation at this stage in the game. Yorkshire, as I say, will be really keen to break this partnership.
Maharaj back into the attack in place of Jordan Thompson. His first ball's been smashed through mid-wicket there for 4 by Wayne Madsen. Good use of feet, but really wasn't the best of deliveries, was it? It was an open invitation ready from Kesh Maharaj.
Yeah, it was actually. It was slightly short, and as we know, Madsen's just pounced on that and swept that to the square leg boundary for 4 runs.
Here he is again, the South African. This time he tried a feet to delivery that must have been a roundabout leg stump. It was one of those that, had he missed it completely, he'd probably have been seeing the arms outstretched by Ian Gould and signal of a wide. But gets away with it, Maharaj, who's in again. And this one pulled backward of square this time. Bess is round to field, right on the boundary edge in front of the northeast stand, and keeps them to 1. 93 for 2, as I mentioned earlier on. Good crowd in at Headingley this afternoon. Wasn't sure how many there would be, given that neither side's having the best time of it this season. Here's Maharaj again, this time to the left-handed deploy, who uses his feet and works this one backward a square leg side, where Ollie Fairfields, and as is the way of things in this competition, the ball is bounced in from the outfield. Got some spectators making their way back towards their seats from the bar. It's certainly not cold out there, despite the fact that the sun's not currently shining. Got a mild, slightly muggy afternoon. 94 for 2. Maharaj in, and Madsen has a swing similar to the boundary he played earlier in the piece, but this was a little bit fuller, round about leg stump, and he got something on it for a single, so he's 38, 95 for 2.
Yeah, it's again a really interesting stage of the game, isn't it? As I say, Yorkshire do need a wicket at this stage, but tactically, I'm just wondering what the strategy is to break this partnership at this stage.
Maharaj in now again, and deploy pushes up to long on. The left-handed deploy, Jordan Thompson fields. It's the end of Maharaj's over. He's bowled 3 for 26 so far, 96 for 2 after 11.
I mean, we do know, Doige, that minimising boundaries, minimising twos, and especially boundaries is really important in T20 cricket. And we hear a lot about economy rates and so on and so forth. But actually, strike rates are pretty important, aren't they? And taking wickets is still a very good way of minimising the strike rate and getting back into the game.
Well, yeah, there's no better way. There probably isn't a better way, but sometimes, of course, that can work in reverse if somebody's not going that well and you get them out and bring somebody else in who hits the straps straight away. Adjustment in the field. It's going to be Ollie Fair continuing from this pavilion end. 2 overs for 15 so far for him, 96 for 2. And he's got this one wrong. First up, it's a full toss, and it's been taken full toll of by Leas Deploy, who smashed that straight back over the bowler's head. It's a no ball as well into the bargain, and it's gone for 4. In fact, he signalled 4. 6 has been put up on the board. I think it went for 6 as well. It has been changed. So that's a no ball for 6, first ball of the over, which is a disappointing start from Duan Olivier. And it also means that Derbyshire have brought up the 100, 102, 104 for 2. 1 ball into the 11th, or not 1 ball into the 11th, is it? Because, of course, he'll have to bowl that again.
Deploy just stood there and struck that ball as if he was playing a different sport, baseball perhaps. He struck that ball very, very powerfully down the ground for a well-struck 6 runs.
Free hit then. Here's Olivier, and this one's going to be smashed miles and miles over the northeast stand. That's gone a long, long way, somewhere down Cardigan Road, and I think the greengrocer up the street, well, let's hope he had a helmet on there, or maybe a little bit of a melon on top of the old nut, because that's gone a long way. Some people out the back of the stand are going to be in danger with that 6 from Leas Deploy. Takes him on to 29 now, 110 for 2. And, well, there seems to be an over, doesn't there, in every innings that goes for a lot. And this is shaping up to be that one from a Yorkshire point of view already.
Yeah, it's the over that Obviously, Yorkshire don't want a ball, but it's the over that the Falcons do want Yorkshire to ball. And we talked before the game about slightly shortened boundary there on the leg side, but he's hit that ball out the park, hasn't he? I mean, whatever boundary that ball was travelling.
Right out the back over the top of the stand. Here's Olivier. This time gets it a little bit better, around about off stump. It was short of length, and Deploy has worked it down to third man. That's a brilliant stop down there on the boundary edge. I think it's Tim Bresnan who's got round to do the fielding. That's a superb effort from him. They've got 3 for it, so already the over's gone for 17, and we are only 2 legitimate deliveries into it. So this is danger time from a Yorkshire point of view. I was saying sort of 170-ish, that sort of score. 180 was on. It's very much on now, with still 8 overs and 4 balls to go. 1-1-3 for 2. Olivier in over the wicket, short, pulled by Madsen out to mid wicket, where David Willey fields, and they just pick up an easy single this time. A lot of work to do for Olivier in these last 3 balls here. Wouldn't want to go for another boundary, perish the thought, or 2. A wicket would be a nice response from him on behalf of his team, but he's been smashed again, and this is going to be 1-2 bounces over the top of mid-on by Deploy, who really is taking full toll on the South African speedster. And another 4. Worrying times for Yorkshire. Deploy on to 36 already, 118 for 2. Olivier 37 now off 2 overs and 4 balls. Now this over alone has gone for 22, and there's still 2 balls to come. Here he is again, short, pulled. That's going skyward, and is it going to go all the way? It is. It's another 6 backward of square leg. Dear me, that was another poor delivery halfway down the track, and although he didn't catch it right, Deploy, it was somewhere up near the splice with the pace of Dwan Olivier. He sort of limped over the boundary, but it's gone for a maximum down in between in the gap between the east stand and the main stand. And so 124 for 2. Deploy on to 42. 43 off 2 overs and 5 balls here by Dwan Olivier. And a bit of debate about the ball between the 2 umpires. A bit of debate as well at the end of Olivier's run between fellow countryman Maharaj and skipper Tom Kohler-Cadmore. Maharaj is disappearing out to the long on boundary. Which means that Jack Leaney's coming in square inside the circle. 124 for 2. Last ball of the 12th. And this time he's used his feet again, and he's lofted this one over the top of the circle and got it away wide of mid-off, I should say, for 4 more. So a huge over from a Derbyshire perspective, and a very, very disappointing one from a Yorkshire point of view. 128 for 2 after 12 overs. 32 off that over by Dwan Olivier.
I mean, how a game can change in T20 cricket in just 1 over. 32 off that over. Obviously starting with that no ball and then the free hit, which gave momentum to the Falcons. But I have to say, the way Deploy's played that over, he's pounced on anything, hasn't he? He's played 2 or 3 great cricket shots. He had a little bit of luck with the one that hit him on the splice that carried for 6, but actually he's played that over fantastically well.
Yeah, tremendous effort from Lias Deploy, who's faced just 19 balls for 46 so far. Maharaj going to continue then at the Emerald stand end. A lot of work now for Yorkshire to do to bring this one back around. Still 8 overs to go, and forget that 170. We're now looking at 200 plus here and more, because first ball from Maharaj is a full toss, and that has been lofted way above square leg by Wayne Madsen for 6 more. Yorkshire at the moment in tatters in mid-innings as far as the bowling's concerned, and Derbyshire absolutely flying. 134 for 2 and 45 now for Madsen.
Maharaj has just over-pitched that ball. It's a full toss, and Madsen has just pounced on that.
Here's Maharaj again, one-handed this time. Madsen out into the deep in the cover region. David Willeyfields, they get through for one more. So he's on to 46. Madsen has faced, 28 deliveries for that. So circumspect, really, at a strike rate of just over 150.
Yeah, Yorkshire need to pull this back as quickly as possible. We know breaking this partnership is crucial. If they don't do that and just pull this game in a little bit, they could be chasing 200 plus here.
If there's a team who can chase 200 plus, it is Yorkshire. Of course, the top two scores in the history of T20 cricket, and they might have to do that because Maharaj's next delivery sees Deploy use his feet, and he's smashed that straight back over the bowler's head, and that brings up a brilliant 50 for Leos Deploy. He's faced just 20 deliveries, and he's been out there just 24 minutes. That is unbelievable striking from the South African, and he's a team 139 for 2. As he, well, disappointingly from a Derbyshire perspective, a dot ball. He hits that straight to the man at short extra cover. Retiring for that. So 50 off 20 for Deploy. And here's Maharaj into him again, uses his feet nicely and just drops it into the leg side and strolls through for one more. 140 for 2.
I mean, so far Deploy's innings is probably as good as I've seen in the context of a game like this. He's come in at 3, he's rotated the strike, and then he's just smashed the ball. But he's played good cricket shots with a good strong base, good free flow of the hands, and lovely striking. He's played tremendously well.
Maharaj again in full. Madsen pulls the left leg out of the way and pulls the ball up to long on for a single. So Maharaj has finished, and he's finished with 4 overs, no maidens, none for 39, and his team, well, they're up against it here. Derbyshire 13 gone are 141 for 2, 13 off the over.
Yeah, Derbyshire is certainly in pole position at this stage of the game. It's important, as we said before, that Yorkshire do pull this game back by taking a couple of wickets. But again, I think it's worth chatting about the way this partnership has developed for the Falcons. Manson knocking their ball around and pouncing on the bad ball, that's certainly the way he's playing. And Deploy, clean striking, good cricket shots. And the other thing we should mention is they are also rotating the strike, Doji, aren't they? So they're striking the ball, but they're rotating the strike, so the scoreboard's continuously ticking.
Yeah, it's very effective stuff from the two men out there in the middle, and Yorkshire desperately need to see the back of both these players, I would venture to suggest at the moment, because even if one of them goes, the other one's left behind is well set. With still 7 overs to go. David Willey back into the attack in place of Ollie Fear. He's gone short first up. He's been lofted over the top of Johnny Tattersall down towards fine leg, and it's going to be a single to Madsen, who's closing in on a 50 of his own. 48, 142 for 2.
Yeah, Willie's just slightly unlucky there, isn't he? Because he's won that little battle against Madsen, but what he needed for that ball was to carry down towards the boundary to Bresnan, who's sprightly moving around in the deep for an experienced performer.
So Willie switches to over the wicket to the left-handed Deploy. 51 not out, steps across, and he's gone here, surely gone. LBW, it's hit him on the full. He stepped right across his stumps. Good piece of bowling from David Willey, and the real danger man from a Yorkshire point of view, Leos Deploy, has gone for a brilliant 51. 28 minutes, just 23 balls, and it included 3 4s and 4 6s and a very impressive strike rate of 221.74. But tremendous job from Leos Deploy.
That's as I said before, a fantastic innings. The way he's played the ball, the way he's got himself in, and then accelerated. What a fantastic performance by Deploy. But I have to say, that's intelligent bowling from Yorkshire's own David Willey here today. He's seen Deploy move across his stumps, and he's gone full, and he's gone straight, and he's hit him on the pad. That's really well bowled at this stage. But I have to say, what a fantastic innings for the Falcons by Deploy. Brilliant innings.
So 142, and Deploy has gone 142 for 3. So Willey with 2 for 21 now from 2.2, and that's what you want from your England international T20 player, isn't it? Sees the batsman, well set batsman, albeit at that, making a move on him, and manages to trump it himself. It's a really good delivery. Must have been a roundabout leg, Midland leg, on the full, and there was no option for Ben Debenham but to raise the finger. Willie in round the wicket, first up to new batsman Matt Critchley, who works it into the leg side by Lyth Fields, but they pick up a single. John Logan has mailed in, by the way, BBC West Yorkshire Sport at gmail.com is the address. He says Yorkshire's bowling is totally unacceptable at the moment in T20, with the exception of Jordan Thompson, who's got the skill set to bowl in this format. I've said before in matches the Yorkshire players need to watch other teams on how to bowl in T20. He thinks Duan Olivier is a complete liability. He needs to watch Jerome Taylor of Somerset or Jofra Archer of Sussex in how to use the pitch bowling at pace, as Willie is in short, and that's how to use your bat when the bowler's bowling it short at you, because he's just helped that on its way. A little loft over the top of Johnny Tattersall's super cricket shot from Wayne Madsen in this form of the game, and that is 4 more to him. 50 up for Wayne Madsen, and Derbyshire are absolutely coasting along at the moment at 147 for 3.
Yeah, that's really well played from Madsen. A fantastic innings. We said he was a very dangerous player. He's played exceptionally well. What a shot that is. He's just adjusted his footwork, played the short ball and just paddled it over Johnny Tattersall for 4.
31 balls, 45 minutes for that 50. And short ball again from Willie, this time to Madsen, who's lofted it into no man's land really in a short fine leg area. Gets a single. He's not going to be bothered about having a bit of luck on his side. He's played some good shots and he's earned a little bit of luck as well, you'd have to say. Wayne Madsen, 53 to him, 148 for 3. 1 ball to come in the 14th. And the Yorkshire crowd, well, there's that typical sort of hum, but there's not a lot of joy out there at the moment. And that's because the team have suffered a little bit of a battering in recent overs. Here's Willie in round the wicket to Critchley, turns it backward a square leg side. Thompson into field, they pick up 1 more. 2 to Critchley, 149 for 3 at the end of the 14th, and well, damage limitation in that over, and a wicket as well. Just 8 runs off it, which is welcome news from a Yorkshire point of view.
Yeah, in the context of the game and the last few overs for sure, where Derbyshire's been going very strong and very quickly in terms of accelerating that run rate, Willie's bowled, in the context of the game, an exceptional over really, hasn't he? Shown his international calibre, his experience, and bowled a good over in the context of this game.
Malcolm thinks that Yorkshire's efforts to play T20 are a joke. We don't really have a clue how to take the pace off the ball and bowl defensively. Hope we can bat tremendously well, he says, but he won't hold his breath. Well, we live in hope. A lot of work to do. Yorkshire must win this game to keep tabs on the others who want places in the top 4. That's wide off stump, first up from Jordan Thompson, who's continuing in over number 3 here from the Emerald stand end. Critchley used his feet but missed crucially, so Johnson's now bowled 13 deliveries for the concession of just the 12 runs, one of which was a 6, of course, final ball off his previous over. He's taken a wicket as well, so is going well. He's been the leading light with the ball from a Yorkshire point of view, but he's disappeared for a boundary here, just not managing to pitch this one really. Full toss on about leg stump. Don Bess made a dive, but it's been turned into the northeast stand by Critchley for 4. Takes him on to 6, 153 for 3.
Yeah, Thompson's just overstretched there, hasn't he, a little bit. Gone a little bit too full, and Critchley's clipped that away for 4 runs. Thompson
in, wide of off stump. Critchley misses again. Good bowling, good response from Jordan Thompson. The 150 came up in 14 overs and 2 balls. If you remember, the 100 came up bang on 11 overs with that 6 off Duan Olivier, so they put 50 on in just 3 overs and 2 balls.
Absolutely incredible striking, wasn't it? Incredible.
Here's Thompson, wide of off stump. Critchley slashes this one away down to third man. Olivier is the man doing the fielding, and they come back for a second. Johnny Tattersall takes the ball, throws the wickets down at the far end, and good piece of backing up in the end from Tom Kohler-Cadmore, I think it was. Stops them taking what would have been a 3rd run. They were having a think about it.
Because Derbyshire have got themselves in a very good position here, Critchley's come in, he's just looking to strike the ball as hard and as far as he possibly can. I think young Thompson here, if he bowls a slower ball, I think he could be in the game actually. I'd be thinking about a slower ball here.
See what he comes up with. He's used it well in this spell so far. Here he is again, not a slower ball, it's a low full toss, worked through mid-wicket by Critchley for 1. Leaning doing the fielding. So Critchley on to 9. Madsen back on strike is 53. 156 for 3. And 5 overs and 1 delivery remaining. So Jordan Thompson at the moment going at just over 1 a ball. 1 for 19. In he comes now to Madsen, who sits right back in his crease. But that's a good piece of batting from Madsen. He stepped right back, and Jordan Thompson, probably a bit harsh to say he fed him, but he certainly didn't have a reaction to that step back from the batsman, did he? And he's whipped him away backward of square for a 6 to finish the over. 1 for 25 off 3 overs now for Jordan Thompson. 162 for 3 Derbyshire with 5 overs to go.
Yeah, and that's Madsen showing his experience, and he's gone back, he's gone deep into his crease. And Jordan Thompson's over-pitched that one, and he's just gone down on one knee and clipped that one away backward a square for 6 runs. But we've said, you know, he's a dangerous player, and he's anchored the innings really well, hasn't he? He's got a good strike rate, he's manoeuvred the ball around, he's struck the ball nicely, and he's playing a great innings for his county.
Dom Bess back into the attack for Yorkshire for the first time, I think, since the first over of the match. But his first delivery is wide of Critchley's off stump and has been signalled a wide by Ben Debenham. Try and keep you up to date with what's going on elsewhere. Worcester North Ants still haven't got going because of the rain, as Bess's next delivery is worked into the leg side for a single by Critchley. He's on to 10, 164 for 3. Don't forget, of course, Durham Notts already washed out. Birmingham made 179 for 6 off their 20 against Lancs, who have yet to respond, and Gloucester 168 for 8 off their 20 against Middlesex in the South Group. They've yet to respond. Here's Bess in to Madsen, who tried to work this as a reverse sweep, and in the end a little bit of contact on the pad gets him a leg by. Glamorgan taking on Surrey. Glamorgan 152 for 6, Surrey 5 for 1 after 1 over of their response. Full-length delivery on leg stump this time from Bess, worked by Critchley up to mid-wicket where Willie fields, and they get through for 1 more, so 166 for 3. Much of the hard work done by Derbyshire, but they've still got wickets in the 10th. They're in a very strong position here with the bat. Dominic Bess, roundabout leg stump, not a bad delivery from the off spinner. It's been whipped away into the leg side. They're thinking about a second. There's a mix up here, run out surely. Oh, Dom Bess knocked the stumps over at the bowler's end as he was waiting for the ball to come in. And this is where in cricket it is so important that an accurate throw comes in. He just had to readjust his movements because of the angle at which the ball was coming, and I think it might have been just clipped by his ankle or something like that. The bails came off, so he realised that, looked back at the wickets, then couldn't reel the ball in. Then there was still a thought between the two batsmen as to whether they should go for a run or not, and almost a run out of the far end. In the end, neither. 167 for 3. Long way to get there, wasn't it? That explanation, but that's sort of how it happened. Critchley steps outside his leg stump, and so Dom Bess throws it up there around about middle, and he's smashed away off the back foot through extra cover for 4.
Yeah, I mean, he's middle and off, just gone into line, freed up his arms and struck that ball nicely through the covers for 4 runs. But Bess needs to be really tight here, really tight lines.
Here's Bess again. Critchley knocks this one up to Lythe at long on, and they pick up a single, so it's the end of the 16th, and 10 runs off that over make it 172 for 3.
Looking at the scoreboard and the way the Falcons are playing, they'll be disappointed not to score 210 from this position. Obviously Yorkshire will have wanted them below 170. Now they're thinking let's keep them below 190 if that's possible. And Derbyshire was certainly targeting 210. There's no doubt about that from here.
So it is Tim Bresnan into the attack for Yorkshire. They've waited to make him the 7th bowler in the attack here this afternoon, and until over number 17, but he gets a go, and he'll have been chomping at the bit out there, seeing the ball disappearing, and I'm sure in his own mind will be confident that he can give his team some assistance here. So Dom Best 2 overs for 16, 172 for 3. If you've just joined us, Yorkshire won the toss and decided to field first, and we've seen a brilliant knock from Leas Deploy, 51 from 23 deliveries. Bresnan in for his first ball is pushed out into deep into the offside for a single by Critchley. 17 to him, 173 for 3.
Yeah, I can't help feeling that Bresnan will obviously he'll feel he's got a point to prove. All his experience, his run round, he's been athletic in the field, and he'll want to pull this back for Yorkshire. There's no two ways about that.
Bresnan in again, and that's a beautiful shot from Wayne Madsen, who's pulled his left leg out of the way, giving himself a little bit of room, and smashed Bresnan straight back over his head into the black sight screen at the foot of the Emerald stand, maximum.
Yeah, it's a great shot, isn't it? He's just cleared his left foot out the way, gave himself a very, very strong base, hit the ball under his eyes, powerfully down the ground for 6 runs. That's an absolutely beautiful contact.
179 for 3. Bresnan in again. This time it's a good delivery from Bresnan. He's got him. LBW. Great response from TT Bresnan, who punches the air with a big jump at the same time, because having been smashed back over his head, that's the experience of an England international. This time the batsman steps away again. He follows him, but on the full vitally. Trapped him in front, and Madsen gone. LBW Bresnan for 66. Real good knock for his team. 56 minutes, 37 deliveries, 6 fours and 4 sixes, and his strike rate increased as he went on to 178.38. Super stuff from Madsen, and a good wicket for Brezzy.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's again a fantastic innings from the experienced Madsen. He played fantastically well, hit the ball around the ground, stroked it well around the ground, rotated the strike. When the ball was in his slot, he powerfully put it away. But that's great bowling by Brezzy, isn't it? He's just gone for 6, been pumped down the ground for 6 by Madsen, then come back full and straight, hit him bang in front of all 3.
179 then, 4-4. Critchley 17. Alex Hughes, the new man at the crease, is on strike to Bresnan, who goes short and wide of off stump first up, but it's too wide for the umpire's liking. Ian Gould signals a wide, and Brezzy running back to his mark. I hadn't noticed where we are on the clock, but I think the cut-off time was 4:15, and presumably Yorkshire trying to get through these overs pretty quickly now, because they might miss that. Bresnan in, it's full. Hughes might have got a bit of bat on that. Let's just see if the umpire signals leg by. He doesn't, so he's off the mark. 181 for 4. Yeah, cut-off time 4:17, which gives Yorkshire 8 minutes to bowl these last 3 overs and 2 balls here. And with a couple of boundaries thrown in, I'm sure that's going to be difficult to do. Here's Bresnan again, wide of off stump, lofted into the offside by Critchley. Underneath it, David Willey. Great catch from David Willey at an awkward sort of an angle as it was coming down, and he slid on his knees. But Bresnan has picked up a 2nd wicket in this, his first over. 2 for 9 now for him. Matt Critchley caught Willey bowled Bresnan for 17, including 2 falls in a 13-ball knock.
Yep, cometh the hour, cometh the man. Brezzy, the international experience, the amount of games he's played, slightly slower ball. Critchley's just skewed with that one up into the air, and really well caught by Willie, who runs in from the cover boundary. This over in the game is such an important over, not just because of the wickets, but because it brings the Falcons score rate or run rate down quite quickly. We said before that economy is important, but actually striking by getting wickets brings that economy down, and Brezzy, the experienced Brezzy, has certainly done that here.
Alex Hughes on strike. Finn Hudson-Prentice, the new man at the crease, has gone to the non-striking end, but he will have strike now because that's a single to Hughes. 182 for 5. In fact, he won't have strike because it's the last ball of the over. 182 for 5 after 17. And a super start from Tim Bresnan. 1 over, 2 for 10.
We did wonder in how Yorkshire would use Tim Bresnan today, didn't we? We spoke about it on air just a few minutes ago. So I'm delighted for Brezzy. He's as committed and gives his all wherever he is in the park, wherever he's fielding. He's give his all, and he's come in at a really important part, took 2 wickets in that over and got Yorkshire back in the game, and they needed that over. They needed those wickets, didn't they?
Yeah, that was an over of a man with a point to prove, I would suggest. 3 overs to go. They've got 7 minutes to get these bowled before the cut-off, and the first delivery from Dom Bess is worked into the leg side by Alex Hughes, who picks up a single. So 183 for 5. So the last half dozen overs went for 32, 13, 8, 13, 10 and 10. A real onslaught from Derbyshire in this second half, and still 2 overs and 5 balls to go. And this one is lofted up towards Adam Lyth at long on by Finn Hudson-Prentice, who gets himself off the mark. 184 for 5.
Just looking at the clouds, bit of cloud cover now.
Bess in, attempted a reverse sweep here, this time from Hughes. And an appeal for LBW because he missed it. They've got through for a leg by. Brezzy couldn't get in to prevent that from just inside the circle. So 185 for 5. Dominic Bess round the wicket from this pavilion end. Floats this one up. It's been lofted over the top of extra cover. That's a lovely shot. Great use of the feet as well by number 33, Finn Hudson-Prentice. And the first boundary for him. He's on to 5 then.
That's a great shot from Hudson-Prentice. What he's done there, he's opened up his body, he's got inside the line, he's gone inside out over extra cover.
Bess in again, flicked this time into the leg side by Hudson-Prentice. They've got the one, they're thinking about a second, and they're going to take on Adam Lyth, who, had he hit, would probably have run out Alex Hughes at the non-striking end, but just missing by probably a stump width. So 191 for 5. They took 2. Good delivery from Bess this time, full round about leg stump, and just pushed up for a single to Lyth at long on. And that is the end of Bess's 3rd over. He's gone for 25 from 3 so far. And with Hughes on 3 and Hudson-Prentice on 8, Derbyshire 192 for 5 with 12 balls remaining in their innings.
Just looking at the clouds, I mean, there's no real sign of rain just yet, but the clouds are gathering across to my right over the western terrace. The atmospheric pressure is just changing a little bit. What that'll mean for Yorkshire's run chase, I'm not quite sure at this stage, but there's certainly a change in the weather.
Yeah, atmospheric pressure. Sounds like I think I'm sitting next to Paul Hudson, not Paul Shaw. Mind you, he's a Bradford City fan, not a Barnsley fan.
The Super Reds. The Super Reds struggled a little yesterday, didn't they?
Unlike the mighty Whites. Here's Bresnan for the first ball of the penultimate over. Then it's a good length delivery and worked through mid-wicket where Leaning fields. And Hudson-Prentice picks himself up another single. He's on to 9 then. And the score moves on to 193 for 2. The last 3 overs have all gone for 10. Including Brezzy's 2-wicket over. Last but 1. Here he is again. Emerald stand end. Wide of off stump, and stepping across is Hughes. Works that backward a square. A long way across to scoop that round to Dominic Bess. And they got through for 1. 194 for 5.
Can Brezzy do it again? Can Brezzy just nick another one out here for us and keep this score around about the 200 mark?
And he comes again. This is wide of off stump, and that's a lovely piece of placement this time by Hudson-Prentice out into the extra cover region. Kesh Maharaj makes a long chase round to flick it back in, and good support out there from David Willey has kept them to 2. That's an excellent bit of teamwork in the field from Yorkshire, because that had 3, if not 4, written all over it at the point of the batsman striking it. So Hudson-Prentice into double figures. He's 11. 196 for 5 as Bresnan bounds in again from the Emerald stand end. It's full and wide, and good delivery from Bresnan because the batsman can't get it past him. Straight back to the bowler. Cut-off time says 4:18. On the clock it says 4:15. They're going to just about do it.
going to be tight, isn't it? That's great bowling by Bresley there. He's just bowled a wide Yorker, almost impossible to strike.
Here he is again, Bresnan, and that is wide of off stump and hit to Kola Cadmore, who's coming in from extra cover. They've got a single.
Again.
They've got to get into that last over before the cut-off time. Just to clarify that, it doesn't have to be a completion of the 20 overs.
Yeah.
So they're just about going to do it with one ball left in this Bresnan over. 2 for 15 he's got so far. Make that 2 for 16 because this has been chopped out backward a point. They're going to take it on for 2 runs here, and they're going to get back for those couple. So 2 overs, 2 for 17 for Tim Bresnan. It's been a good spell so far for him. In fact, it's been a good spell from him because it's not going to continue because there ain't any overs left at the far end. So 199 for 5 at the moment. They won't be happy with this Yorkshire, having got themselves into a pretty good position early in the piece from a fielding point of view. It's been a little bit of a damage limitation exercise in just the last couple of overs. Could have been worse, couldn't it, the way things were going? But those 2 wickets of Madsen and Critchley have just pegged them back a little bit.
Yeah, it could have been much worse, and Yorkshire certainly got Bresnan to thank in terms of one, damage limitation, but getting them back into the game with the 2 important wickets of Madsen and Critchley.
So 199 for 5. David Willey is going to finish at the pavilion end, and he comes in running away from our commentary position. Round the wicket to Hudson Prentice, who doesn't get a good contact on this, drops it into the bowler's follow through, and he turns and has a shy at the stumps but misses. Just watching a bit of old Ashes footage this morning on television. 82-3 Ashes, and there was a brilliant piece of fielding by Bob Willis. The lads on the footage were joking that it was a once-in-a-career achievement for him to run across, pick the ball up, turn and throw the stumps down. And John Dyson, the Australian Open batsman, was out by yards, and the umpire said not out. It was an absolute shocker. Here's David Willey round the wicket, good delivery, just over the top of off stump, and Hughes, not too sure what he was trying to do with that really, but he missed it. So 200 up for Derbyshire, of course, off the previous delivery. And they've got 4 balls left to try and just edge this game a little bit further away from Yorkshire and attempt to make it 6 wins in succession against the Vikings in this form of the game. Short ball, but pulled off the splice really by Hughes. Maharaj fields mid-on. Hughes checks the splice. He's got a single for it. That might have been one of those that you just felt the vibrations of in the hand. Yeah, not so good. 201 for 5.
It's a great start to this last over, isn't it? Willie's gone full, and then he's gone 2 short balls and minimised any striking the Derbyshire batters can do.
Here he comes again. He's gone short this time once again, and then once more it's a top of the bat contact from Finn Hudson Prentice. He got a little bit more on it than Hughes did the previous delivery and managed to get it away for 2 through mid-wicket. So 203 for 5. A word of wisdom or two from Bresley, who's walking in from mid-off, to David Willey, who turns then at the end of his run. Round the wicket. Skipping running style. Batsman steps away to leg. He followed him well. Good delivery again from David Willey. He'll take singles all the time at this stage of the game, and Yorkshire happy to concede that with a blow into the ground that was fielded at extra cover by Tom Kola Cadmore. So 204 for 5. At one stage my colleague Mr. Shaw was saying they're on for 210 plus here, so, and I don't think he was wrong when he said it. So Yorkshire have pulled it back slightly here. Here's Willey, last ball, hit into the air over the top of Maharaj at mid-on. It's going to be a boundary, I think, off the last ball. No, brilliant effort from Maharaj to pull it back in, and they will pick up 3 off the final ball of the innings. So 207 for 5 is Derbyshire's concluding score. Alex Hughes not out on 10, and 15 for his partner out there, Finn Hudson Prentice. And the bowling figures: Dominic Best 3 overs, none for 25. David Willey, 4 overs, 2 for 35. Super effort from him. Kesh Maharaj, 4 overs for 39. Of course, they've now taken that graphic off the scoreboard, which was very helpful indeed. Not, but we can fill you in with the rest of the details. Of course, Dwan Olivier bowled 3 overs for 47. Jordan Thompson, really good spell again, 1 for 25 from his 3. Jack Shutt, 1 over for 15. And Tim Bresnan, very valuable, 2 for 17 from his 2 overs. And so 207 for 5, the result for the Derbyshire Falcons. It's there to chase for Yorkshire. We know they can score 200. Can they do it today?
Well, I mean, that's the big question, isn't it? In front of an expecting, if you like, crowd here at the Emerald Stadium, Headingley. Just reflecting on Derbyshire's innings, the partnership from Deploy and Madsen, I think, was absolutely fantastic. Real important performance there or real important partnership, should I say. But then I reflect on Yorkshire's bowling, which at times, we have to be honest, it hasn't been great. They haven't always hit the areas that they would have liked to hit. But I think special mention for Bresnan, as he came back into the game and bowled a couple of exceptional overs. Willie bowled fantastically well, and that last over of the game was an important over to keep Yorkshire in the game and minimise the score and keep it below 210. And young Thompson, I thought, bowled really well also today. So yeah, looking ahead, looking at the second innings, can Yorkshire chase this down? Yes, we know that they can. As you rightly said, Doidge, we know they've done this before, but it's going to be a real challenge, isn't it? And the way they start, with the power they have, the positive striking of the ball in the first 6 overs is going to be crucial. But they have to take this game as deep as they possibly can, and from 1 to 11 they have to believe they can win this game, and there's no doubt about that. The batters have got to come out with a positive mind. It's still, we know that Deploy and Madsen's showed Yorkshire the way in terms of how to rotate the strike, how to strike the ball cleanly. They played proper cricket shots. Yorkshire's got to follow, I think, that blueprint that Derbyshire's set today.
Thanks, Paul. OK, so 208 Yorkshire need to win and give themselves, well, still some sort of slim hopes of getting through to the quarter-finals of this competition. We'll see how they're set about doing that in a few minutes' time. Good start, Derbyshire, because Yorkshire are just 1 for 1, needing a further 207 to win in 19 overs.
Yeah, absolutely not the start that Yorkshire would have wanted. 1 for 1 after the first over, but exactly the start that this aggressive Derbyshire Falcons team, absolutely fantastic for those, disappointing for Yorkshire, but obviously still 19 overs left in this game, and Yorkshire still do have some firepower in their batting order, and they do have people that can knock the ball around as well. So from that perspective, they're not dead and buried as yet, and a couple of boundaries will get the Yorkshire team going.
So to start at this pavilion end, didn't see him with the bat out there today, but Ravi Rampal, who bowled so well. He was one of the better bowlers, wasn't he, for Derbyshire down at Queen's Park a few weeks ago in that Falcons success. In he comes, number 14 on his back. Right arm over the wicket, but first ball, Adam Lyth has lofted that one through the covers, and 2 or 3 bounces, makes its way over to the rope towards the western terrace. And so this time Rampal, who started really tight at Chesterfield, has gone for a 4 first ball, 5 for 1.
Yeah, that's trademark Lyth, really, isn't he? The top of the order, the positive mindset, the positive Lyth, just leaning on that one and caressing that ball and lofting that one over extra cover, the vacant extra cover area for 4 runs. That's a start to get Lyth going, hopefully.
Rampal in again. It's Fuller. He rolls his hand over the top of this one, but took a bit of pace off it, but it's not going to trouble Lyth again, who smashed it through extra cover and will pick up 4 more. This time it trickles over the boundary rope, which is about 15 metres or so in at that point from the western terrace side of the ground, but the supporters out there don't care. 4 more to Lyth, 4 more to Yorkshire, 9 for 1.
Yeah, Ravi Rampol's ball, the slower ball there, just run his fingers over the ball, but he's slightly over-pitched and ball into the strength of Adam Lyth, who caresses that ball on the floor through the covers for 4 runs.
In comes Rampol again. This time smashed over mid-wicket. That's gone a long, long way in the air. Where's it going to land? It's going to land at the back of the bottom tier of the East Stand and bounce into the next tier. A maximum for Adam Lyth, who really has said go from the off here, and Yorkshire all of a sudden 15 for 1.
Ravi Rampol's gone really full and quite straight. Adam Lyth's picked the length incredibly quick, picked that one up and absolutely spanked that ball into the East Stand. Went a long way up and it had a long way to come down, bang into the middle of the East Stand. It's a great start from Lyth, great start for Yorkshire.
New ball being called for by umpire Ben Debenham. It's handed to Ravi Rampol. Batsmen have a chat, so all 15 so far on the Yorkshire tally to this man, Adam Lyth, who is on strike. Of course, Yorkshire's top run scorer in T20 cricket history. Past that mark at Chesterfield in the reverse of this fixture. Rampol again runs his fingers over the top of that one, wide of off stump, and Lyth watches it go by. He's done a job in this over, wouldn't want to give it away now.
I'm really pleased to see that from Lyth, actually, that ball. He spotted his Rampol's ball a little wider. He's balled a slower ball, and it would have been really tempting just to go at that, wouldn't it, Doige? But actually what he's done is let that ball go past, mature about it. I'd like to see him hit this for 1 and get down the other end.
Plenty of breeze in evidence on Adam Lyth's shirt, rippling in the Headingley breeze as he pushes his next full-length delivery up to extra cover. Wide-ish mid-off. They get through for a... Well, in fact, they don't get through for a single. My apologies. It was the fielder movement that threw me. So Lyth still on strike. Just change in the field. Rampol sends his man, who was inside the circle at mid-on, back to long on and brings up third man. He's got a man outside the circle at deep backward square. And this time Lyth decides to loft it over the top of extra cover again. That's the third time in the over he's done that. 2 or 3 more bounces and 1 more boundary 4 for him. He's on to 19, as are his team. 19 for 1 after 2. So 1 for 1 at the end of the first, but 18 off the second.
Yeah, and Lyth's obviously in very good touch, and that was almost a replay of his previous shots. Just ball's pretty full there from Rampol, and it's allowed, what's important here for Lyth, it's allowed him just to free his arms and caress the ball over extra cover as it run away towards the Western Terrace for a well-timed 4 runs.
So, apart from that loss of Tom Kohler-Cadmore, good response then from the Vikings, but here's Willey on strike to Van Beek again, and David Willey this time chooses to thrash this one away with an open face. He's got it over the top of the man at point, and 1 bounce and into the northeast stand for 4 to him, gets him off the mark. 23 for 1.
Yeah, I mean, he's looking to go a lot straighter with that shot, isn't he? But the great thing is he's been able to go at it hard, he's freed his arms, and he's just got enough on that as it splayed away over backward point for 4 runs.
So Van Beek, what has he got in response? Willey waits, in comes Van Beek, short pull. That's a massive hit from David Willey. That's going to go, well, I thought it was going to go out of the stand and into Kirkstall Lane just away to our right. It's probably hit about 3 or 4 rows from the top of the stand, northwest side of the ground. Huge hit, short ball from Van Beek, and absolutely dealt with by David Willey. He's on to 10 and Yorkshire 29 for 1.
I mean, Van Beek's just looked to run and ball that as fast as he possibly can. He's dropped it in short. It's just above hip height, roundabout leg stump. And that ball, I think it's still going down the road. What a fantastic shot from Willey. He's picked that one up his hips, and it's gone high into the stand. What a fantastic shot.
29 for 1. Bouncer signalled by Ian Gould. Here he is again, Van Beek, and that's a good response this time. Slants it across the left-handed Willey, who misses. A bit of a flash just outside off stump. So a rare dot after over number 1.
Yeah, it's a very good comeback by the bowler there, isn't it? Van Beek's just gone across the left-handed Willie at a decent pace, and Willie's played and missed as it's gone through to the keeper. That's a great comeback.
Yorkshire in front on the DL score of 26 at the moment, as Willie uses his feet down the wicket to Van Beek and gets it away to extra cover. There was an attempt at a direct hit, but couldn't manage to make the target, so they get through for 1. 30 for 1. Willie 11, Lyth back on strike 19. Left-handed pairing here for Yorkshire.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because Dominic Cork, the aggressive Dominic Cork, I'm sure will have been saying to the bowlers, don't bowl wide at Lyth, don't give Willie any room at all. And what we've seen from a boundaries perspective, the bowlers have bowled just off the wrong line and give them opportunity to hit the ball with freedom.
Van Beek in, and Lyth works that through mid-wicket, and they pick up a single. 31 for 1, and 1 left in the 3rd over here. Seen a couple of huge blows so far. One from Lyth through mid-wicket, the back of the bottom tier of the east stand. The members stand away to our left, and then David Willie's pull off Van Beek earlier in this over was an exemplary effort to a short ball. So here's Van Beek again into the same man, David Willie, who waits. It's short this time. He's got that up in the air, but he's going to be caught this time. He is caught by third man, who comes in from the boundary edge, and it was Alex Hughes who takes a comfortable catch. The end of David Willie. It had been fun for a short while, but unfortunately from a Yorkshire point of view, plenty short enough. He's got 11 from just 8 deliveries. Strike rate's up there, 137.5, but not long enough.
Yeah, Willie's gone hard, hasn't he? He knows it's a big total. He's looking to chase down for Yorkshire, and he's wanting to make as much as he possibly can in that first 6 overs of the power play. We know that. We know that's Yorkshire's strategy. It's not come off on this occasion. He's gone down the pitch. He's got a thick outside edge, and it's gone in the hair, probably 10 yard in, caught by the Derbyshire Falcons fielder, 10 yard in from the third man boundary. And in walks Johnny Tattersall, is it?
It is. So sent Johnny Tattersall in at 4. They've got a left-hand, right-hand combination here. They've tried that already with varying degrees of success, of course, in the competition. But let's see how we go. But Willie's gone caught. Hughes bowled Van Beek for 11. And the score then 31 for 2. Having seen Tom Kohler-Cadmore out in the first overs. 31 for 2 after 3. So 12 off that over. 1, 18 and 12 the runs per over so far. Tattersall on strike first up because they crossed. And there's an appeal for LBW perhaps. Yeah, there probably was an appeal for LBW because the umpire signalling leg by down the leg side. So Tattersall still on the mark, and they're 32 for 2.
Yeah, Doige, you mentioned Rampall and how well he bowled down at Chesterfield. He did, didn't he? Bowled a great length on that pitch. It was a slightly damp pitch, bowled a great length, and also bowled some slow ball variations. He's not quite hit his straps today.
Here he is again. That's a lovely shot from Adam Lyth, who smashed it back down the ground right beneath our commentary position. 2 bounces and into the covers for 4 off Rampall. Great use of feet. Just moved his front leg out of the way again, didn't he? Just to give himself that little bit of extra room in case the bowler made some adjustment. But whatever Rampall came up with lengthwise, that was easy for Adam Lyth, wasn't it?
Great shot. If ever you're coaching a player to strike the ball down the ground with good balance, good momentum into the ball, good hand speed, we've just seen Lyth do that exactly. Textbook. Fantastic shot.
24 to him. 36 for 2. Rampall round the wicket. Lyth has got this away. He's got a bit of luck on his side this time because he was trying to pull that in front of square, and in the end he's got a thickish inside edge, and it's gone through fine leg for 4 more.
Yeah, Lyth were looking to pump that one towards deep mid-wicket boundary, wasn't it? But we've got a thick inside edge, and it's run round to the fine leg boundary. As we know, it's 4 runs in the scorebook, Dodge, isn't it? So at the end of the game, it won't say he's got a thick inside edge. So let's hope he can stay at the crease as long as he can, because he is in good form.
40 for 2 halfway through the fourth. Rampall in, full and wide. He's appealed for a caught behind here, and as is Adam Lythe's wont, he's out. He often does this. He looks like he's not interested and he's not got a touch on it, but he has. He's got a nick behind, and Adam Lythe has been caught behind by Darren Schmidt off the bowling of Ravi Rampall. Good comeback from him. Lythe gone for 28 and Yorkshire 40 for 3. 11 balls there for Adam Lythe's 28. A strike rate of 254.55, including 5 fours and a 6.
Yeah, incredibly entertaining while it lasted, but obviously Yorkshire wanted Lythe to go on and bat long and back deep. Very difficult to do from a risk-reward perspective when he's going at it as hard as he was. Rampall then has just angled the ball across him, very full ball, and it just must have been a fine nick. And the umpire must have heard the nick, as the bowler did, as it went through to the wicket-keeper. That's a big blow for Yorkshire.
It is. Adam Lythe's got a way. He's got that way of. I don't know if he does it on purpose to try and fool everybody else, or if it's just, you know, I know I'm out and I'm just thinking about what I should have done in that moment. But just for a split second after he's out, he'll often stand there and maybe go through the shot again. He looks at the ground. It's almost as if he doesn't want to believe that the finger's been raised, but it was, and he had to go. And 40 for 3. Jack Leaning, the new man out there in the middle for Yorkshire. So an eventful start, John Logan says, serving up a smorgasbord boundary buffet to a team who never qualify for T20 finals day. The horses bolted yet again. If Yorkshire lose, don't blame the batsman, he says. Good delivery from Rampall, beats Leaning, nipping back in on him. And Jack Leaning's been out a time or two in 4-day cricket to similar deliveries this season. On this occasion, gets away with it. Yeah,
it took Rampall a few deliveries to get into his stride as such, but certainly the last 2 or 3 balls have been good deliveries, and he almost got the wicket of Leaning there. Ball's just nipped back, slightly back of a length, hit him just above the knee roll, I think.
Here's Rampall in to the waiting Leaning, who flicks that nicely off his legs down through deep backward square leg. It's not going to make the boundary, but they're going to get 2, make that 3 if Johnny Tattersall is the man running to the danger end, which he is. And they do get a comfortable 3. So Leaning off the mark, 43 for 3 at the end of the 4th over. They scored 12 off that over, but vitally they are losing wickets here, Yorkshire, steadily. And that's a similar pattern to what we saw at Chesterfield that day.
It is, yeah. When anyone got in, they got in, had a little bit of a flurry, wicket went, someone else came in, a little bit of a flurry, wicket again. And I look at this partnership and I see Tattersall and I see Leaning, 2 good young players that knock the ball around the field and run well. It's an opportunity for Yorkshire to consolidate if you can do that in T20 cricket. So rotating the strike is going to be important with these 2, and striking the ball when it's in the slot, I'm sure these 2 will do. So let's see where we're at the mid-over, at the mid-game stage as such, or the mid-inning stage at 10 overs. But these 2 at the wicket's really important now in terms of a partnership.
Change of bowling with Finn Hudson-Prentice replacing Logan Van Beek. It's a right mouthful, isn't it, the Derbyshire lineup in terms of the players on show. Finn Hudson-Prentice in from the Emerald stand end, pushed back down the pitch by Leaning. There's no run. First time I ever saw Jack Leaning play was in a T20 game here one night, and I remember him striking a couple of balls somewhere down beneath our commentary position here for 6s, and thought, wow, this lad can strike a cricket ball. Yorkshire could certainly do with a few more of those this afternoon. Here is Hudson-Prentice again, Leaning, using his feet to come down the pitch, but good response from the bowler means that the batsman can only push it out to extra cover. No run, still of course in the power play, and there's still 10 more balls of it remaining, but 2 batsmen who are yet to really get themselves in. The 2 men outside the circle are down beneath our feet at a 3rd man, and also out on the square leg boundary. Next ball short, wide of off stump, and Leaning lays his bat on it down to 3rd man, and will pick up a single, so he's on to 4, and it's 44 for 3.
You know, with a run rate required of above 10, it's clearly important to score boundaries, but you know, Dorji, 4 singles, a 2 and a boundary and over gets you that run rate. You know, so it's not all about striking the ball. Obviously, we like that, the crowd like that, but it's about getting over the line, isn't it? So, as I said, 4 singles, a 2 and a boundary gets you that run rate.
Hudson Prentice in. Tattersall runs that one down wide of third man. And that's really good running between the wickets again. And I don't make any apologies for repeating that where Johnny Tattersall's concerned. He is lightning between the sticks. And even when he's the man on strike, where you'd expect him to be a stride or stride and a half behind the man at the other end, he is lickety split. He's definitely a 5 furlong sprinter in racing parlance. And he got back for 2. He's off the mark, 46 for 3. Hudson Prentice in again. This time he's drilled his fingers over to that, but misdirected it as a result. Tattersall happy to watch it go down the leg side wide.
Yeah, Hudson Prentice there. He's gone with a slower ball, rolled his fingers over it, and just got the line too straight, hasn't he? And he's gone down the leg side for the wide ball. It's a good attempt at a slower ball, but he just got his line slightly wrong there.
Turns again. And he comes to Tattersall once more. This time it's a straighter delivery. A lovely shot from Tattersall, who's split the gap there between mid-wicket and mid-on and picks up 4 runs. Along the ground just about all the way. It was an aerial for a little time, but always on its way down, and certainly never in with a chance of being caught there. 51 for 3.
Reminiscent of a KP, dare I say that, back in 2005 against the Aussies. The peacock shot, 1 foot, clipped it through the mid-wicket. Beautiful shot.
And this next ball is in a similar direction, just more to mid-on. They pick up a single, so it's the end of the 5th. Yorkshire 52 for 3. They scored 9 off that over. So far it's been 1, 18, 12, 12 and 9. And just as comparison, for comparison purposes, the 50 for Derbyshire came up in 5.2. So Yorkshire 3 balls ahead in that respect. But of course, Derbyshire at that stage had lost just the 1 wicket. Yorkshire have lost the 3.
What is pleasing, Doige, in terms of this partnership, as we said before, these two are both athletic players, aren't they? Both quick between the wickets, rotate the strike exceptionally well, and also are able to strike the ball. More perhaps leaning than a Tattersall, but Tattersall will still play to his strengths, as we've just seen with the ball is his whip there through the mid-wicket boundary. So it's not all lost, you know. Yorkshire, if these two bat for the next 5 or 6 overs, I think we've got an interesting game in his hand, but it's going to be important that these two put a partnership together.
Very much so. 52 for 3, leaning for Tattersall on strike. He's not out 7. Quarter of the way through this Yorkshire response to 207 for 5, and that's a lovely shot. First up, Boyd Rankin into the attack at this pavilion end for Derbyshire, and he bowled that short and wide of off stump and top of the bounce. That was a perfectly executed square cut from Tattersall for 4 more to him.
That's out of the top drawer, isn't it? You know, you've got a class bowler, a quality bowler in Rankin. Good pace, dropped it short, Tattersall on top of the bounce and caressed that through the covers for 4.
Here's Rankin again, this time though overcompensating and straying down the leg side. And that will be a wide. Yorkshire will take all these extras that they can get, with another ball to come in the over. So 57 for 3, Tattersall 11 now with that boundary. 1 leg by and 2 wide so far in this Yorkshire innings. Short ball from Rankin, and that is played down comfortably through the third man region for a single for Tattersall. 12 to him, 58 for 3.
Nicely played by Tattersall, that short ball, sharp ball. He's let it come to him, play it under his eyes and just open the face of the bat on contact and run it down to third man. Good batting.
Listen to BBC Radio Leeds and all the Yorkshire stations with Paul Shaw, myself, Jonathan Doige, ball by ball coverage of this Vitality T20 blast between the Yorkshire Vikings and the Derbyshire Falcons, 2 teams languishing in the bottom half of the North Group, as Rankin's next delivery, short and wide of off stump, was worked down to third man by leaning for 2. 6 to him and 60 now for 3.
Good cricket again there by the Yorkshire batsman, leaning, running that ball down to the third man boundary. Both players running incredibly hard and taking 2 runs. Good cricket.
In comes Rankin again. Right arm over. Off the hip this time by Leaning. Nicely played as well. Used the ball and timed that beautifully. He probably would have made it to the boundary down fine leg, but it was losing momentum as it got towards it, and it's been pulled up for the concession of 3. So he's on to 9, 63 for 3.
See, these two players are going about it, Tattersall and Lean, in a slightly different way, aren't they? As we say, we're rotating the strike exceptionally well and turning 1s into 2s, 2s into 3s. As we know, they're both like hairs between the wickets, but they're also looking to time the ball away and using the pace of the bowlers.
Rankin in again, short, and again using the pace of the ball. Tattersall just works it to deep backward square leg for a single. You wouldn't call either of them massive boundary hitters, would you? They are about running the ball around, whatever form of the game they play. And that's the way of things in this partnership at the moment. It's worth 24 already. 64 for 3. 1 ball left in the power play. So Rankin in again to Lean. That's a beautiful shot from Leaning. Short ball just wide of off stump, and Jack Leaning knew exactly what he was doing there. Got a very fine clip on it. Would have gone over the top of about first slip. A couple of bounces into the emerald stand. And at the end of the over, Yorkshire, well, they are going well here. They've removed the score from the board with immediate effect as it crossed the boundary. So unless you can remember what the score was before that boundary.
I think we're about 68. That's a guesstimate.
They've got quite a lot. 68, you're right. Spot on. Well done, that man. So 13 apiece for Tattersall and Leaning. Partnership now worth 28. That's 68 for 3. At the same stage, the end of their power play, Derbyshire were 55 for 1. So 16 off the over. Good over from a Yorkshire point of view to finish the power play. Lewis Rees is now into the attack for the Falcons, and he's going to bowl left arm round the wicket from the emerald stand end. There's a big gap now up to long on, so Tattersall is happy to exploit that and push it up there for a single. 69 for 3. Of course, the field now been dispatched with 5 men outside the circle. There's a man on the deep cover boundary. Boyd Rankin's down at 3rd man. There's long on and long off, and also deep mid wicket. As in comes Rees again. That's a lovely shot through the covers by Leaning, who lived up to his name in playing it. Picks up a single. 70 for 3.
You know, if there's any youngsters here today watching these two bat and form a partnership, if you look at a low risk, high reward perspective, they're rotating the strike beautifully, timing the ball away.
This next ball is full and wide of off stump, and Tattersall picks up 1.
And effectively playing to their strengths, aren't they? So, and they're going at almost 10 and over. You know, they're playing some fantastic cricket. It's a really good blueprint in terms of how to play cricket. Batsmanship, I would call it, Doige. Fantastic batsmanship from the pair.
So Rees, 3 off his first 3 deliveries, is in again. That's wide of off stump and played down to short fine leg by Jack Leaning, who got right across and worked it nicely off his legs. So they're 15 apiece, the batsman. 72 for 3. 2 left in the 7th, and it's one of those where I can hear colleagues at club matches saying, change nothing out there, lads, to the 2 batsmen. As Tattersall gets underneath this one and chips it over the top of the man who's at backward point. And again, they get through for 2 more. So 6 off the bowler so far of his first 5 deliveries. 74 for 3. And Rees turns again at the end of his run. Sun shining brightly here at Emerald Headingley. He's round the wicket once more. Tattersall gets it away to extra cover this time, but can't get it beyond the fielder. So half a dozen off the over. Derbyshire will be happy enough with that. Yorkshire have managed to get a few on the ball without losing a wicket, so both sides happy enough with the way things have gone there. 74 for 3.
Yeah, and I think you're absolutely right, Doige. You know, in club cricket, someone will be shouting from the pavilion, "Change nothing, lad. Change nothing out there. Keep going the way you are." And that's actually exactly what the two batters need to do at this point, isn't it? They don't need to do anything else. Keep rotating the strike, keep timing the ball away, playing to their strengths, know where their boundary options are when it's there, and ensure that they execute their skills well. Nothing different.
Let's see what the Falcons have in response. They're going to turn to spin, and it's going to be Matt Critchley, who is going to come on from this pavilion end of the ground. 74 for 3 then, off 7. 58 for 2 was the Falcons score at the same point. Critchley in, and worked up to long on by Leaning, first ball of the over. They get a single. Leaning onto 16.
Just looking at Critchley's stats here, best of 3 for 32, his 24 wickets in his 42 matches, an economy of 8.46. So that tells the Yorkshire players he will give you the odd bad ball they can put away.
Here he is again. A reverse sweep attempted here by Tattersall. A big appeal for LBW, and he has gone. Trapped in front, Johnny Tattersall tried the reverse sweep. You have to make sure you hit it if you're going to play it. 75 for 4. Tattersall gone. LBW Critchley for 17 off 12.
Yeah, he's just trying to force it and be creative there. His Tattersall, and he didn't quite execute the reverse sweep, did he? And unfortunately got hit on the pad. It took the umpire a little while to make that call, so I just wonder if there was a little bit of doubt. It's difficult to tell here from this angle, but as you say, Doige, if you play the reverse sweep, you really can't let it hit your pads, can you? Disappointing for Yorkshire because this partnership was building nicely, but enters into the arena Tim Bresnan.
Brezzy lad on his way out then to the middle, and well, we've seen the full force of Tim Bresnan, not particularly in this competition yet so far this season with the bat, but certainly used it to good effect at Edgbaston in one of the 50 over white ball games earlier in the season. And had it not been for he and David Willey down there, and the tie probably would never have happened. What can he do in T20 then? Critchley into Bresnan, who works it off the hip first ball, and will get off the mark with a single. So 76 for 4 now, Yorkshire. That brings Leaning back on to strike. Critchley, Preston-born, Lancastrian. Next delivery is turned into the leg side for a single by Leaning. 77 for 4. And Critchley working his way back to his mark. Then Bresnan not out 1. 2 balls left in the 8th over of leg spin here from Critchley. Rolls his hand over the top of that one again. And that's out into the covers by Bresnan for a single. So just getting himself in with a couple of singles, a few sighters. Be interesting to see what tactics Tim Bresnan and Jack Leaning apply together here. Leaning on strike, leans back and cuts this away off around about middle stump. Actually, probably would have gone over the top of the stumps from Critchley. It's the end of the over. He rattled through that one, didn't he? 8 gone, 78 for 4.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at this and wondering how Yorkshire's going to play spin. We know when they played Lancashire here a few weeks ago at the Emerald Stadium, Headingley, that spin was a challenge in terms of scoring, you know, scoring boundaries and rotating the strike. We know against Birmingham Bears, the 2 spinners that they used on that day bowled really well against Yorkshire and pulled Yorkshire back. So how Yorkshire play spin today is going to be really important when you're chasing down 208.
So we're going to see Rees continuing 6 off his first over. Funny, isn't it, how 1 over can change the complexion. Here is Rees in. It's an aerial shot through the covers by Bresnan, who's going to pick up a single. As a result of that, takes himself onto 3, 79 for 4. But just a couple of overs ago, we were saying this were, you know, around a club ground, you could sort of hear the lads at the side, the The batsman waiting to go in, maybe in the batting side, saying change nothing out there, lads. They'd got 6 off the over, but then 4 and a wicket off the next over puts a different slant on that one before, as Leaning pushes his next delivery up to long off. Takes himself onto 18 with that one, and it's 80 for 4.
Yeah, those 2 overs have changed the game, haven't they? You know, the wicket and then the economy in the last over have just pulled the game back again in favour of the Falcons.
You have Rees coming in to Bresnan, but he's gone well wide of off stump to the former T20 World Cup winner. And that is a wide ball, almost on the next pitch, really. It's about as wide as we've seen all day. So 9 off 8 deliveries from Rees. Bresnan sets and waits again, 81 for 4. 2 balls into the 9th. This is full, driven back over the bowler's head by Bresnan, who's got plenty on that, and no chance for the man who was attempting to chase it down from long off. That was Lewis Rees. Not Lewis Rees, my apologies. He was the bowler. It was Alex Hughes out there at long off. So 85 for 4. Give it a good smack.
Yeah, powerful down the ground. That's Brezzy, isn't it?
7 to him. Rees in again to Bresnan. Wide of off stump this time. Flat bats it to the man at extra cover, who's Derbyshire skipper Billy Godleman. Bit of a fumble from him. They got through for 1. So Bresnan on 8. 86 for 4. Yorkshire needing another. I think they need one particularly good partnership here. They've had partnerships of 1, 30, 9 and 35 so far. Here's Rees. Leaning tries to play this across the line from just about outside off stump. There's an appeal for LBW, which is turned down by Ian Gould, and they get a leg by. 87 for 4. 1 left in the 9th, so approaching the halfway stage. Just over and over. Yorkshire still need 121 more runs to win it. And here is Rees again. Wide of off stump and smashed away by Bresnan, but there is a man out there on the cover boundary to do the fielding. That was Finn Hudson-Prentice, so they only get the 1 when it was bound for the Western Terrace. 88 for 4 at the end of the over. 10 off it. Better for Yorkshire.
Yeah, that's a better over, and obviously started well with Bresnan striking the ball down the ground for a much needed 4 runs. And it's interesting how that momentum then shifts a little bit more Yorkshire's way. But as you rightly say, Doige, I think that this partnership is crucial in terms of the game. These two have got to take it deep as they possibly can. The clean striking of Bresnan and the manipulating of strike from Leaning.
More leg spin from Critchley then, who's in to Bresnan, steps away to leg, uses the natural turn of the ball, leg to off of course, to hit that away for a single to the man sweeping on the cover boundary. So 89 for 4. Apologies there, I just whacked the microphone on my teeth, as you do. So Leaning 18, Bresnan 10. And Leaning waits at high backlift, poised, uses his feet, but can't get it away. Either side of the man at extra cover, and they've gone for a single, and he's run Tim Bresnan out. He called him for a single. He went straight to the man. Now, dear me, of all the players you want to call for a quick single in the Yorkshire dressing room, Tim Bresnan would not be the man. And if you just don't have the natural pace, you ain't going to get there, are you? And he was run out by a mile, really, in the end, wasn't he? Bresnan's gone, run out for 10, and Yorkshire 89 for 5.
Yeah, that's disappointing for Yorkshire for sure. He's called Bresnan through for the single. And he's not Tattersall, is he? You know, Tattersall probably got there because he's quick, that's part of his game. But he just takes Bresnan a little bit of time to get going, so he's been run out by 2 or 3 yards there. It's disappointing for Yorkshire, disappointing for Bresnan. Yeah, disappointing.
It's given Jack Leaning as the man run out on the board, and it's now given Johnny Tattersall. So I'm not sure what's going on with the scoreboard operation at the moment, but it is definitely Tim Bresnan who's walking off. And Jack Leaning will be sick about that, but Tim Bresnan will be even more sick about it because he's the man who's back in the changing rooms for 10 runs there. And Here we go. They've got it right this time. Run out 10, 8 minutes, 7 balls was all he faced. And he hit that one lovely boundary straight back over Luis Reis's head. So Jordan Thompson, next man in now. What a stellar knock he played, despite the fact that the team lost down at Chesterfield. Very clean hitting 50. And he's got his opportunity. I've been suggesting he might have gone in a little bit earlier a couple of times recently, and he hasn't until the last 2 or 3 overs. Well, he's hit his first ball for a massive 6 over backward square leg. That's the way to play, isn't it? The leg spinner bowling at the left-hander. And right in the slot, Jordan Thompson just again gives Yorkshire a bit of a fillet there. Losing too many wickets here for my liking, but they're 95 for 5 now with that lusty blow. First up by Jordan Thompson, who works this next delivery off his legs for a single this time.
Yeah, it was a lovely strike of the ball, that, wasn't it? Again, textbook. The right arm leg spinner, ball in middle and leg, and Thompson left-hander just picked that one up and swept it into the east arm. It was a great shot, and a you know, a player there playing with real confidence. It's another opportunity for Jordan Thompson today.
So full toss this time, turned out into the deep, wide of long on by Jack Leaning. Nobody in on the 1 there, so they've got through for an easy 2. He's on to 20, 98 for 5, so the over's gone for 10 already. And there's 1 left in it. Critchley, 1 for 14 so far, bowling at Leaning, who's again farmed the fact that there's nobody in on the 1 out to long on and picks up another single. So 21 to him, 7 to Jordan Thompson, 99 for 5 at the halfway stage, at which point Derbyshire were 12 runs short of that, 87, but they'd only lost the 2 wickets.
Yeah, so from a runs perspective, we know at this stage of the game Yorkshire are slightly ahead, 12 runs ahead, but it's the loss of the 5 wickets that's going to be the challenge for Yorkshire, which, you know, puts more of an impetus on this partnership, and this being, if you like, the longest partnership of this innings. It's absolutely crucial that these two take it deep for Yorkshire to give Yorkshire any chance of winning this game here at the Emerald Stadium, Headingley.
So we're going to see another change of bowling by the looks of things. Looks as though Boyd Rankin's going to come back into the attack, but from the Emerald stand end of the ground. So 99 for 5. Yeah, they do desperately need to put together a sizable partnership here without losing any more wickets. 35, the highest stand in the innings so far. That comparison that we just mentioned is now going up on the board. So Jack Leaning on strike. There's a pregnant pause because the field has been reshuffled here. 2 men out, backward a square, well, backward a point, and through the covers on the boundary edge, and also a 3rd man there. That means that there's nobody on the leg side boundary other than up at long on. And this time, first up, Leaning smashes the ball, but straight back to the bowler Boyd Rankin. So a win for the bowler. Dot ball. He's gone for 16 from 7 deliveries so far. Bowled his previous over at this pavilion end of the ground. Sun behind cloud at the moment here at Headingley, but the floodlights not on. The light's pretty good. Rankin in, and that's a lovely shot by Leaning, who's flicked that off his legs, picked it up on the half volley, and glorious stroke from Yorkshire's batsman. Takes them past the 100, and he's going along quite nicely now, having run out his partner Tim Bresnan. Jack Leaning 27.
Yeah, lovely shot from Leaning, again using the pace of the bowler. Just picked it up and just clipped it over the square leg boundary. It's lovely contact, lovely shot from Leaning.
So Yorkshire 4 balls ahead of what Derbyshire were in bringing up the 100, and Leaning turns this next delivery into mid-wicket for a single. So 28 for him, 106 for 5. But when I say that, of course, it was at that point that Dwan Olivier then went for 32 in an over, which does put a different slant on the way this game is. Now the DLS target, which Yorkshire were in front of for a while, I don't think that'll come into play in terms of the actual weather itself, but it just gives you an idea of whereabouts they need to be. And that's 116 showing on the board at the minute, so Yorkshire 10 behind that, despite the fact that they're in front of what Derbyshire were at the same stage in the knock. And again, that 32 over comes back into play in making that comment. So Jordan Thompson on strike, not out 7, 106 for 5. Short ball down the leg side though, inevitably, as Thompson misses his little flick at it, it's given us a wide.
The pleasing thing for the Yorkshire fans here today, the Yorkshire faithful, is that Leaning and Thompson are both quick between the wickets. Similar to what we said about Leaning and Tattersall and how they played, and both play a similar way. Both clean ball strikers as well. So while these two bat, Yorkshire will have a chance.
Rankin in and smashed down the ground by Thompson. There's a dive from the man at mid-off, but he's not going to get it. And Jordan Thompson with another boundary. Started the innings with a 6 over square leg. And he's smashed that one straight past Boyd Rankin. He's on to 11 now. 1-1-1 for 5 Yorkshire.
It's a great shot that from Thompson as he just gets on top of the bounce and strikes the ball beautifully down the ground with power, which just beats the despairing dive of mid-off on the edge of the circle.
So Rankin in again. Thompson stands, drops us into the offside, and they're looking for a 1 and will get through. Good support from Leaning on this occasion. And Jordan Thompson picks up 1. He's on to a dozen and 112 for 5. And when we look back at that run out, didn't really get too much chance because things happen so quickly in this form of the game. But Jack Leaning really did drill the ball straight to extra cover and then set off for the run. But you would imagine anybody who's played cricket and been at the non-striking end when that sort of thing has happened, you would be flat-footed naturally. You might have set off in support of your teammate, but you would probably be turning round and offering the bat back towards the crease at the non-striking end, just for safety, from a safety perspective, and then to have to start again would make it really difficult. So you've got to call Jack Leaning really as the man at fault with that run out. I don't think there's any doubt about that for me as he pushes a single up to long on next ball. Moves on to 29, 113 for 5 at the end of the over.
Yeah, I agree with you, Doige. And the length of time it took Brezzy to walk off the pitch, he was obviously bitterly disappointed with the run out, as were all the Yorkshire fans. As this game progresses, if these two bat for any period of time, then they give Yorkshire the best chance of putting in I guess a real good fight to get to this total of 208.
So 9 overs remain. Plenty of time. Not plenty of wickets. Certainly if they lost a couple of quickies now, they would be very much up against it. Still to come, Dominic Bess, Kesh Maharaj. We've seen in red ball cricket how far he can hit the ball. And then Dwan Oliver and Jack Shutt. So change at this pavilion end of the ground because Finn Hudson-Prentice is into the attack again, and he's been worked into the leg side by Leaning first up for a single. So Leaning 30, 1-1-4 for 5.
Yeah, it's good cricket that from Leaning. First bowler over, he's got a run, so he's ticked over the scoreboard. I think it's really important that Yorkshire do target at least one boundary per over and keep rotating the strikers they do. That'll keep them very close to the required run rate, which is just above 10s.
Thompson not out 12 then, faces up to Hudson-Prentice, who's strayed well wide of off stump here, and that's another wide. So it's been a few of these from Derbyshire. Yorkshire will welcome them all, as I said earlier in the piece. I think that's a 4th one now. Well, I'm sure we'll get a count on the board in a moment. 7 extras in any case is the extras count. So 1-1-5 for 5. A little bit of a bonus for Yorkshire. Hudson-Prentice, number 33 on his back, in again, right arm over, and he's done the same thing again. Probably not quite as wide by a couple of inches, but there or thereabouts. And Ben Debenham is happy to signal.
Yeah, for sure. Hudson-Prentice is just looking to go wide enough with wide Yorkers, so it's very difficult for the left-handed Thompson to hit the ball to the leg side boundary, but he's just going that little bit too wide.
He's got the field set back on the offside for that purpose. Can he get it a little bit straighter? He does this time, but Jordan Thompson also opens the face and runs it down to third man. picks up a single, so he's on to 13. 11745. BBC West Yorkshire Sport at gmail.com, the email address. You're listening to ball-by-ball cricket coverage of this Vitality T20 Blast match between the Yorkshire Vikings and the Derbyshire Falcons on BBC Radio Leeds and all the Yorkshire stations, with Paul Shaw and myself, Jonathan Doidge. At Jonathan Doidge or at Inside Leader 1 are the Twitter handles if you want to get in touch. Short ball here from Hudson Prentice, and played nicely, top of the bounce by Leaning. He's probably a little bit disappointed he didn't get it wide of the man at extra cover. Just looking at the body language, just looked up at the skies, but he picked up a single. 31 to him, 118 for 5.
So I think that's 5 off this over so far, so a boundary here would keep them close to the run rate.
Wide of off stump and full, that's what he was trying earlier in the over, Hudson Prentice, and he's appealing. He's not happy with the decision of Ben Debenham to signal a third wide in the over, and that was a little bit closer still. So he started off really wide, got it a little bit tighter, but it was definitely a wide second time. Got to say, that time it was one of those that you'd have thought was maybe a bit more in the touch and go region, but the umpires signalled it. So 3 in the over, 119 for 5, and this time Jordan Thompson smashes this next delivery out of the park down beneath our feet. Well, I say out of the park, there was a couple of bounces before it went over the boundary rope, so 4 runs. What was impressive there, I thought, Paul, was that he stepped right back, waiting for another ball wide of off stump. He played that very late, didn't he? And although it was aerial, he hit it hard enough to get it past the man at mid-off.
Yeah, for sure. Deep in his crease, waited for the ball, hit it in front of his body, and it managed just to go past mid-off for 4 runs.
So again, he's up there and wide of off stump, and this time the left-handed Thompson gets it up to long off. The man had been dropped back after that previous shot, so they get a single. He's calling for another bat here, Jordan Thompson. Got that one right at the bottom, I think. Crack might have appeared, so he's on to 18 now. Good knock from him again. Likes playing against Derbyshire. Here's Hudson Prentice to Leaning, who again works it wide of long on. They get 1, and they're going to have to settle for that as Madson's in. Van Beek, I should say, is in to do the fielding. So 125 for 5 at the end of the 12th.
Yeah, that's good cricket from Yorkshire. Obviously, there were the extras, the wides that were bowled by Hudson Prentice, which obviously helps. But then Yorkshire's being able to get a boundary in their over, which target 1 boundary per over, is what the coaching staff would be saying, and they've been able to rotate the strike. And they got 12, maybe 13, 12 off that over, something like that. So it gets them, above the required run rate. That's important.
Yep, we talked about those 2 overs where there were 6, and we thought they were cruising around. Then they lost a wicket with 4 in the next over from Critchley. But then since then, they've gone 10, 11, 14 and 12. So they've accelerated. Don't forget, of course, that 32 from Derbyshire's point of view was probably worth what... there have been a couple of good overs in the Yorkshire bowling analysis, but that was probably worth 2 overs, wasn't it? 2 good overs.
Yeah.
And don't forget, of course, in and among there, Jordan Thompson had bowled one that cost just 3. So 125 for 5. Run rate 10.42, and they need 10.38 and over. Leaning on strike, he's on 32. Rees into the attack at the Emerald stand end. He's turned out through mid-wicket by a single, for a single by Leaning.
And the way these two have batted, how they've gone about the business, the strategy has been relatively low risk. They've rotated the strike. They've scored probably 1 boundary and over, and been well in touch with the run rate.
Short ball down the leg side though by Rees, and another one straying down there for a wide. If Yorkshire win this game, then Derbyshire and their supporters will be disappointed with that aspect of their play. That's I reckon 5 wides, possibly half a dozen. That would have been going the same way, but Jordan Thompson chooses to play this time, and we'll get 2 down to long leg. Going well so far is Jordan, not out 20. Jack Leaning, who has to be the rock here around which Yorkshire build this response, is 33 and playing that role. 129 for 5. Here's Reese in again. This one low full toss, I think it was. Worked up to wide of long on by Jordan Thompson. They're picking the gaps nicely, these two now. Getting a good partnership going. It's worth 41 at the moment. 42 make that. Thompson 22. 131 for 5.
And what the two batters are looking to do here is looking to hit the corners of the ground and push for twos every time.
There's Reese again. Thompson thought about turning it into the same position. Good delivery, I think, from Reese. Credit to the bowler. It looked like he rolled his fingers over the top of that one. A little bit slower pace-wise. He's running back to his mark because they're behind the clock here. And he's in again. Thompson waits. It's leg stump flicked through mid-wicket for one more. So 22 off Reese so far. Thompson on to 23. 132 for 5. Yorkshire needs 76 off 43. Still a tough call. And leaning on strike. Reese switches to round the wicket. Leaning drives him up to long off and picks up one more. So end of the 13th. Leaning 34. Thompson 23. 133 for 5. They need 75 off the last 7 overs.
I mean, I know we've said this a number of times on air, but Yorkshire really don't need to do anything different at this stage. Leaning and Thompson are rotating the strike well. They're targeting one boundary and over, which keeps them in touch with that run rate. There will be one over which they can pounce on and maximise. That always happens when pressure starts building and the momentum shifts. So they've just got to keep playing the way they are. Try nothing different. Low risk, high reward cricket gets them over the line. Take the game deep.
John's mailed in again. He says if Yorkshire lose, they'll be bottom of the group. Looks like only you and I think that Jordan Thompson should be batting higher in the order. He's the only Yorkshire player in recent matches that can say he's bowling stroke batting well. BBC West Yorkshire Sport at gmail.com. Logan Van Beek, meanwhile, is back into the attack at the pavilion end. And he's pushed out deep into the covers by leaning for a single. Mexican waves going on around the ground, and usually when you get Mexican waves at sports events, it's because the spectators are bored, isn't it? Needs something else to do.
And that Mexican wave is just working its way across the western terrace here at the Emerald Stadium, Headingley.
So, Van Beek in again to the left-handed Thompson, who sets himself deep back in the crease. Now he could go here. He has gone. He's been caught by Billy Godleman, tried to loft it over extra cover, and the Derbyshire skipper did well there, back-pedalling to take a catch going over his head as he fell to the ground. It's been a good little knock from Jordan Thompson. 23 off 12 deliveries, 1-6, and that was off his first ball, and 2 fours, and strike rate of over 190. It's come to an end just that little bit too soon once again from a Yorkshire point of view. 23, Thompson goes.
Yeah, Thompson were attempting to hit the ball over the infield there, and he almost got it over the captain Godleman, but Godleman took a good catch, and obviously that means the dismissal of Thompson, who's played, I think, really well in the context of the game. He's played some good cricket. He's struck the ball nicely and rotated the strike. And, of course, he was wanting to start the over well with the boundary.
So, Kesh Maharaj makes his way out for his first T20 knock for Yorkshire. We've seen him play some good ones in 4-day cricket. It was a memorable 70-odd here and a memorable 80-odd down at Chelmsford, where he certainly had a bit of fun with the bat. So no back number whatsoever, but there's a bit of pressure on him here in his first T20 knock. He's gone out there to partner Jack Leaning, who's on strike. Van Beek in, strays down the leg side again. Another wide. All helpful for Yorkshire. 11 extras now in this innings, and Van Beek has to jog back to his mark once more. So 135 for 6. It's a good partnership that for Yorkshire, the best of the innings so far, worth 45. But it came to an end with that dismissal of Thompson. Van Beek in again, helped on its way down to fine leg by Leaning for a single. He's 36, 136 for 6.
I mean, you would say that the pendulum has swung again towards the Falcons because of the wickets that Yorkshire have lost. In terms of run rate, required run rate, Yorkshire are just in touch with that. It's just above 11. But there's one thing that Dominic Cork, the T20 head coach of the Derbyshire Falcons, will be saying. He won't be happy with the amount of extras, will he, at all? You know, being a former bowler himself, aggressive bowler, bowled good lines, good lengths. He won't be happy with this.
So in comes Van Beek. It's full and driven by Maharaj first ball, but it's straight back to the bowler. There's no run. Kesh Maharaj seems to be, the times I've seen him play live, which is only that few so far this season, a very laid back sort of character. He talked about starting the game when he came on with when he came into bat, and he's started to score runs for Yorkshire in T20 cricket because he's worked that one through mid-wicket for a single. He came in, did a post-match interview with us after one of his days play, and he said, I see my job as a bowler to stop the game, and I see it as a batsman to start the game. I think they're going to need a boundary or two from him here if they're going to win this. Here's Van Beek short, and Jack Leaning has got caught behind here. He tried to pull that. He's got a top edge on it and took all the pace off the ball. But still, you've got to say that's a superb catch by Darren Schmidt, diving to his left. And so the rock for Yorkshire, Jack Leaning, has gone for 36. And Yorkshire 137 for 7.
Yeah, that's a good... in fact, that's a great catch from Smith, although the pace has been taken off the ball somewhat through the deflection off Leaning's glove. But the keeper there, Smith, took a stride, dove full length, and if he was a goalkeeper, he's took it in the top left-hand corner. So that's a pretty good catch. It's disappointing for Leaning. He looks disappointing walking off, but he's contributed well today, and that's an unfortunate dismissal for him.
So Don Bess, the new man for Yorkshire. That was the end of the over as well. 137 for 7. So I make it just the 4 runs off that over and 2 wickets, and that could be the straw that breaks the camel's back. We shall see. It looks as though it's Ravi Rampal back into the attack at the Emerald stand end. They haven't put that up on the board. And Maharaj misses his first attempt at a scoring shot there. So yeah, just the 4 off the over, and just when they wanted to accelerate. The last 4 overs now, when you look at them in perspective, have gone 14, 12, 8, 4. So on the downturn here, Yorkshire. Rampal in again, wide of off stump. Maharaj has a swish and misses. And what pressure can do, the pressure really is on. 71 off 34 with just 3 wickets in hand. A man who's playing his first T20 knock for the side. In fact, 2 loan signings here out there in the middle for Yorkshire. Don Bess, the Emerald stand end. Rampal in, wide of off stump, flat batted through the covers by Rampal, who looks right down at the toe end of his bat as he runs down the other end. So he's on to 2, 138 for 7.
It does look very difficult from here for Yorkshire. Never say never, but it's a pretty stiff task now with Bess. And well, you know, like you said, the 2 lone players that want to make an impact. What an opportunity to do that now.
Don Bess, his scores so far 2-1-0, 5 not out in this competition since coming to Headingley. And that's a wide ball from Rampal to Bess. He made 2 at Chesterfield. No, my apologies. Let's start that again. Looking at the wrong column. He made a duck against Lancashire here. That was his first innings. He got 2 wickets against Derbyshire at Chesterfield, so my apologies, Dom. So a duck against Lancs and 5 not out in the defeat to Worcester. There's only 2 innings so far in T20 competition for Yorkshire. He's had a swipe at this one, trying to hit that one somewhere down towards Elland Road. Just thought I'd get that one in because the Mighty Whites got a point there yesterday against Notts Forest. 139 for 7. Bess yet to trouble the scorers with the bat in this innings. Rampal in again, full, and hit up to mid-off. So Bess off the mark. 140 for 7. You never say never, but it's looking bleak at the moment. But who knows? A 6 off this final ball of the over might just get the crowd going again. Get Maharaj going. He's not out 2 at the moment as Rampal comes in. It's not going to be a 6. He's got it up to long on for a single. So 3 to him. 141 for 7 at the end of the 15th.
Yeah, Maharaj, I got it right that time, I think, didn't I, Dodgy? He's just struck that ball down the ground to long on. As I say, it is a stiff task from here on in, but Yorkshire's still got to take this game as far as they possibly can. And you never know, you always get that big over. We know that Derbyshire got that big over of 32. I know that's a big ask at this stage, but you've always got to believe, but you have got to have a strategy of how you're going to go about your business from a batting perspective.
Say it again. Ma. Come on. Maharaj. Here's Critchley back into the attack at this pavilion end, bowling his leg spin, and Maharaj gets a single out to extra cover first ball. We had Izzy Duncan doing the game at Scarborough where Maharaj starred, and she was calling him the Maharaja for most of the match. As this next Critchley delivery is worked down to fine leg, and Bess gets another single. So he said checking the scoreboard, or was it? Might have been signals a leg by because his scores remained on 1. Maharaj gets this next one up to long off. Single there. Singles, while they're keeping the scoreboard ticking, not a huge amount of good for Yorkshire, who need 14.22 runs per over at the moment. And Bess runs this one down to third man for another single next ball.
Yeah, it just looks difficult, doesn't it, at the moment, to actually strike the ball and find the boundary for both of these batters. Critchley's bowling well at this point, and just getting a little bit of turn as well.
And again, evidence of turn once more, as Maharaj just pecks at the ball and pushes it out to point for a single. So he's 6, Bess 2, 146 for 7. 1 ball left in this over. And short ball this time has been cut away by Bess, but he's still only going to get the single for it. He's on to 3 then. So 147 for 7. So we have 4 overs remaining here. And Yorkshire have got a big task on their hands. Their last 4 overs now in this innings: 8, 4, 4 and 6. Comparison purposes, by the way, the same 4 overs in the Derbyshire innings: 13, 8, 13 and 10.
Big difference, isn't it?
But of course they had significantly fewer wickets down. Just started to lose a couple in this corresponding over. Brilliant catch. First ball of the over. That is the end of Dominic Bess, and it was Billy Godleman at extra cover. Bess gets under that delivery, and that is a brilliant catch from Godleman. He parried it and then managed to catch it as he's falling onto his back out there. Spectacular stuff from him. Bess gone for 3 off 6 deliveries without a boundary. And Yorkshire, well, they are coming to a pretty miserable end here once again at the hands of Derbyshire, and look like they're heading for a 6th successive defeat against this opposition, because Bess has gone for 3.
That was a fantastic catch, wasn't it? The Derbyshire Falcons captain, Godleman, very much on the edge of the circle there at mid-off or stroke extra cover, actually, just diving back, parried it with one hand, arching his back all the way, falling onto his back and catching the ball in mid-air with 2 hands. It's a great catch because it just looked as if it was just going to go over him, but he just stretched that little bit further and was able to take the catch. Fantastic catch.
Rees, the bowler, by the way, and is in around the wicket. Maharaj gets underneath this one. It's in the air, but lands short of Critchley, who was coming in from third man. So Maharaj takes a single. He's out there with his fellow countryman Duan Olivier, who's the new Yorkshire batsman. Just he and Jack Shutt, the last couple for Yorkshire. And here's Rees, wide of off stump, full. Olivier gets some bat on it and gets it away back with a point for a single. And singles, well, they're absolutely fine. Keep you up to date with that DLS score for what it's worth. 178 it reads on the board, so Yorkshire way behind that now. And it needs a Botham-esque knock here from somebody. Maharaj tries it, but gets the bottom of the bat on that one up to long on for one more. So the 150 is up. Yorkshire making 150 in 16.4 overs. So while they were in front of the 100 mark, well, Derbyshire were 14.2 overs it took them to get the 150 on the board. Yorkshire 16.4, fallen well behind the clock. As this next delivery is smashed by Dwan Olivier out to long off, and he has also gone caught at long off then. Yorkshire lose a 9th wicket, little else that he could do, and a very comfortable catch for Wayne Madsen down at the foot of the Emerald stand. Olivier gone for 1 off 2 deliveries.
Yeah, Olivier is trying to strike that ball over the long off boundary there. Didn't quite catch that at all. To be fair, the Yorkshire batters feel like they're in a catch-22 here, don't they? Because the rotating the strikes aren't going to do them any good at this point. They need boundaries. But the Derbyshire Falcons bowlers have clicked into gear in a ball in good areas, bowling with pace off the ball at times from the seamers, and there's a little bit of spin beginning to happen for the Critchley, the leg spinner. So it's very, very difficult here for Yorkshire.
So Rees in to Kesh Maharaj, my apologies, shuts the new man in, but they'd crossed with that hefty hit from Olivier. Maharaj again checks the bottom of his bat as he hits a single off the last ball of the over, so he's on to 9. But Yorkshire 151 for 9 with 3 overs to come.
Yeah, it's obviously very difficult from here on in, as we're aware. Again, it's opportunity for Shutt to spend some time at the crease and hit a few lusty blows if he can. I have to say, Dodge, you're looking round the Emerald Stadium here at Headingley, the sun shining. It does look well, doesn't it?
Yeah, apart from the scoreboard. As Critchley is going to finish off at this pavilion end with his 4th over. And that is it. Yorkshire have finished off as well. Maharaj hits that out to long off. They came back for a second, and Jack Shutt was run out by a country mile. So 152 all out. It was, in the end, you have to say, an ignominious defeat for Yorkshire. It's been, well, in some ways a repeat of what happened at Derbyshire, in the sense, well, A, that they've lost the obvious one, but B, that the run chase has come up short towards the back end. We lost early wickets this time, just as they happened to be the case down at Queen's Park, but just when you want to start accelerating, that has cost Yorkshire any sort of momentum, and those last few overs, 8, 4, 4, 6 and 4, abject really, and they have been thrashed.
Yeah, and that's certainly been the challenge, the losing frequent wickets when you're chasing a total above 200. It makes it almost impossible. Look, I mean, the partnership in the first innings, Derbyshire's innings from Deploy and Marsden, that's what set the game up. That's what's really won the game. The positives for me is the way Bresnan, Willey and Thompson bowled, actually, against the Derbyshire Falcons. Positives with the Leaning and Tattersall partnership and the Leaning and Thompson partnership. But yeah, it's, as you rightly say, Dodge, you're losing wickets, frequent wickets, makes it very, very difficult to chase down a total of above 200.
And so Jack Shutt run out by the throw of Logan Van Beek without scoring. In fact, without facing a ball, Jack Shutt. So he got a diamond